Red hot comic book movie news. Defenders of the Earth. Defenders. The Weekly Planet. The Weekly Planet.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Weekly Planet where we talk movies and comics and... Don't interrupt me, Mason.
Friendship?
TV shows.
Friendship.
No, don't. My name is James, also known as Mr. Sunday. With me, as always, my co-host, Nick Mason.
I should have said interruptions. That would have been very meta. What a meta start to the podcast.
Well, it would have been, but it's not. It's just a normal start.
You want to go again?
No.
Yeah, no, I don't want to go.
You want to go again, mate?
You want to go? You want to go, bro?
Mason, it's
Yes.
such a big week for multiple things.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why.
Why?
We're going to do the news
I
of
just
the
agreed,
week.
but I didn't know why.
No,
so
it's
I'm
true.
asking why.
You need to listen to this, all right?
Okay.
So we're going to talk about
I refuse.
the goings on at Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Password sharing and the like. We're going to talk about...
Those cowards over at Netflix.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got them. We got them.
We got them and we're ready. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the real-life Squid game that Netflix are also making at the moment.
Oh,
and you're not going to believe this,
Squid
Mason.
Game, yes.
The real-life Squid game that they're filming has turned into a real-life Squid game, if you know what I mean.
God.
We're going to go through all the DCU stuff, which has been announced.
Probably hasn't been that much announced, though.
It's too many. I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is a lot. But that's good. Because it's good to
exciting.
have content. It is actually. There's a lot of really interesting stuff here. And then a special guest is going to make their way into the show later on.
Yeah.
Michelle,
Hope they don't slither their way.
I know. Typical of them, obviously. But Michelle Brasier is coming by because we're going to talk about Fast and Furious, because she's a massive fan of the franchise and a romp in general, and then of course a Knock It to the Cabin.
We all watched a Knock It to the Cabin.
The latest. So yeah, we're gonna get all into that. So it's actually a big week.
Huge week.
It's actually a huge week. Also, we will talk about this later, but Michelle's got a number of things going on. Tours going on. If you don't recognize her,
She's got so many things
she's
going
got too
on.
many things going
Yeah.
on, which we'll get into.
It made us feel inadequate, so we just shouted at it. We pre-recorded it. We just...
That's right.
She's touring?
She's touring. She's going to be various places. If you go to her website, which again I'll plug later, but michellebrasier.com/tour, you might know her from Aunty Donna. You might know her from her Paramount stand-up special. You might know her from many things that she has been and continues to be in. But anyway,
You might know her from real life.
Yeah, you might know her. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I'll know her when she arrives.
That's right.
And then we'll all know each other.
That's right.
That's right. All right, Mason, let's get into it. Now, this is via Streamable. Netflix, for a time this week, moved forward with their plan to stop password sharing.
Yeah.
Now, as we know, they feel like that there's an estimated 100 million Netflix users worldwide that are not using their own logins to watch Netflix. They're password sharing. They went to an Airbnb and they forgot to sign out, which I've done.
Maybe there's some kids at college.
Maybe there's some kids
using
at college.
their parents' login.
Disgusting. I just want to say that's disgusting.
Maybe you're in a relationship with someone and you gave them the login and then you broke up and they haven't changed it. You've always thought about changing it, but you're waiting for the perfect time to get them.
Exactly.
You know? You see that there's a new season of their favorite show about to come out on Netflix and you're like, now's the perfect time.
You season 4, not for you.
That's right.
Absolutely, yeah. So their idea was initially that you have to be on the same Wi-Fi if you want to log into the same account or your account will be blocked. Now, Netflix accounts, they can still be shareable again, but it has to be within one household. And to ensure that your device is associated with the primary location, Netflix is now asking users to connect to the Wi-Fi, the primary location, open up the Netflix app or website and watch something at least every 31 days. Now, you might ask, how does that apply if you go literally anywhere else? What if you're on the train or whatever and you want to watch it on your phone
What
or
if
something?
you're on the toilet?
What if you're on the
But
toilet?
you have such a expansive estate that the toilet, it's such an old building that the toilet is an outhouse and it's 1 mile from your estate.
You've got 2 IP addresses
That's
while
right.
you're doing a big IP. Mason, thank you. But what if you're...
Yes.
So what they said is, well, if you want to use, say, Netflix, for example, in a hotel TV or a company laptop or whatever, you can then request a temporary code from the service when signing in, and that will give you access to the account for 7 consecutive days. Now, after this was all ruled out, by the way, fucking hate this.
Terrible.
Sounds like work, too many steps. They should learn a lesson from Blockbuster, the company that they killed, with outdated practices.
And Blockbuster should have learned a lesson from all the local video stores that they killed, which is there's always someone bigger, but they didn't.
There's always someone ready to kill you.
That's right. And all those local video stores should have learned a lesson from me, a guy who rented videos, which is I'm never going to rewind those tapes. So stop asking, all right?
Exactly. But anyway, so all this happened.
Yeah.
And Then, as of, I think it was around Wednesday, they put out a statement that said, actually, for a brief time yesterday, a Help Center article containing information that is this was actually only applicable in Chile, Costa Rica, and Peru. So that went live to all countries. And that's actually a mistake. This is in a statement via Streamable. So if you're in like the US, UK, Australia, Canada, other places in the world that aren't those three I mentioned, then this was actually a mistake.
It was a mistake and a joke, actually.
Yeah, you took this the wrong way.
We pranked you, actually. We're lighthearted and known for our pranks over at Netflix. Also, and you just as you were saying before, it's an extra step.
Yeah.
And
it's just encouraging piracy, because piracy is an extra step.
Piracy is an extra step. Netflix, and as has been pointed out this week numerous times, Netflix somehow does the top brass at Netflix are somehow not aware that the only reason a lot of people use Netflix is it is slightly easier than pirating.
Yep.
And if
they don't even like it.
As soon as it isn't, the people will stop using it.
Yeah.
So what were they thinking here? Was Justice Smith, the actor who's worked for Netflix before, said, I think
he's in some of the Jurassic World movies.
Yes, he is.
Detective Pikachu, etc.
Detective Pikachu, yeah. And the upcoming Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons.
But he said, okay, well, what if I get another job at Netflix and I have to go touring for 2 months? Do I lose access to my Netflix?
Yep.
Unless he gets that secret code.
He might get the secret code, yeah. So anyway, if they roll this out, I hope this kills Netflix.
Yes.
Just as a lesson to everybody, you know? Just be like, this is what will happen to you. Because quite frankly also, Netflix isn't good enough for this.
Yeah.
If it was a better service. And also, other services, they do have measures in place. But they also did that from the get-go. They didn't pride themselves on sharing passwords. And I didn't even have a problem with, like, if you've got multiple accounts, different locations, maybe you pay a little bit extra.
Sure, right.
They also jacked the price up a few years ago for this reason, because people were password sharing.
Yeah.
So they went, this is good. This is why we're increasing the price.
So it's either...
So you're going to bring it down again?
You're going to bring it down again if we're ruling out password sharing. Interesting. No, but absolutely right. Yeah, bad times all around. But they were just joking and kidding, so it's fine.
Yeah, it was a joke. And you fell for it.
Absolutely fell. And again, it's that thing of like, okay, and there's a, where I'm like, okay, well, I don't often use Netflix on my phone.
Yeah.
So does that mean that once a month I have to log into Netflix on my phone and watch a TV show for a second? That seems annoying. Or you'll ban my phone? Come on.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, and the last thing I watched, I think, on Netflix was Glass Onion. And that was...
Yeah.
Weeks ago.
I didn't, because I saw it at the movies.
Yeah, well, well, that's the thing. And if I hadn't, etc.
If you hadn't, you know.
If you hadn't, you know.
If you haven't, then you know.
You know.
You know.
I was going to say if I hadn't seen it at the, I would have watched it. I watched it at the movies. And I watched it at Netflix.
Yeah.
But having seen it at the movies, I didn't have to watch it at Netflix. But that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is. That's the only thing I've watched on Netflix in the last month. So
I think it's also like it was probably initially to appease investors. It looks good for their stock. Well, they thought it would look good for their stock.
Yeah, right.
Like it might increase the price of the stock, because they're like, oh, this is a good way to make revenue, etc.
I'm logging into Netflix right now.
Yeah.
Ooh, Appleseed Plus or something. Appleseed Alpha. I remember that anime from back in the day, and you also would remember that from back
I'm
in
the biggest fan of anime.
Yeah.
Everybody who knows me knows that.
That's true.
Mason, should we move to the next bit of news, which is also Netflix related?
Oh, yeah, of course.
This is via Variety. Now, as I mentioned up top, Mason, it's a fun little joke that I did. I said the real-life Squid Games that Netflix are currently filming, or have been filming in the UK, is actually turning into a real-life Squid Games.
Oh, no.
So what's happened is they're basically, if you haven't heard, they're doing a Mr. Beast-style What If Squid Games was real, right?
Mr. Beast, no. There should be a guy on his team, and his catchphrase is Mr. Beast, no.
Yeah.
And I'll happily do that for $10,000 a week.
That's really good.
It's very reasonable, I think.
Yeah. That's $120,000 a year,
Pretty
Mason.
good, right?
Australian?
No, American.
Okay, fair enough.
After tax.
We do have a question about Mr. Beast in his latest video, which we'll talk about at the very back end of the show.
Sure.
But basically, so it's been a disaster. It's turned into a real-life Squid Games, Mason. So basically, one of the segments they were filming is red light, green light. For those of you who don't know, it's basically, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? You turn around, and if they see you moving, but it's a robot instead of a wolf, you get shot.
You're explaining this so badly.
That's exactly what it is, Mason. What's the time, Mr.
But
Wolf?
if it is, you know.
That's right. Anyway, everybody saw it.
Yeah.
So the idea is that they were filming that first segment in it, and there was something like 456 contestants involved in this. Like
Because
there
that is
in
the classic
show.
Squid Game number, yes.
Exactly. The winning prize was like £4 million or whatever. So as the game
£4 million?
Yeah.
Huh.
I know, not Australian. So as the filming got underway, like everybody was excited because, you get the opportunity to win money. The problem was also that people were excited to do this.
Are you explaining the concept of a game show?
Yeah, no, but listen.
Some people are excited because of the
No,
money.
but sorry, they were encouraged and they were
right.
followed up and everybody was screened and they had like influencers coming in who apparently they're also favoured, so they seem to eliminate people just like on a whim because it's like you want to get Johnny fucking film himself.
It's interesting because obviously Squid Game, the TV show, the narratively interesting characters get through, but realistically, maybe in red light, green light, everybody loses.
Yep.
Like maybe everybody gets caught on the red light and you go, well, do we start again or whatever?
Yeah.
Like there's no...
Well, that's exactly. So as it got underway, the atmosphere changed. So coats were taken away. Hand and foot warmers were scooped out of pockets and players' jackets had to remain unzipped. So this was in order to display the numbers as well as the fake blood that would squirt from devices strapped to their chest if they were eliminated. So if you remember the show, they were like machine gunned if they moved. So they wanted to bring that element in.
Sure.
For
And
some
somebody
reason.
said, can we actually machine gun them? No. Interesting.
Well, we're going to. So when the show's giant killer doll stopped singing, they had to freeze in position, but what began as a promised 2-minute wait was then bumped to like 10 to 15 minutes of staying still, sometimes even longer. The other thing is nobody had their watches or phones, so nobody has a sense of time in this. This was supposed to be a 2-hour game.
So you had to potentially stand still for 15 minutes.
No, Mason, this took 11 hours to film.
That's too long.
That's one segment, by the way. So it was also supposed to be a 2-hour filming. But again, I guess they wanted to get every possible angle on it, and they said they wanted to confirm results. But apparently people were losing feeling in their feet because it was this like unprecedented cold snap. What's that about? It's probably nothing.
This is in the UK, it
yes,
seems. Okay.
0 degrees Celsius. And it was also afterwards the people who got through were taken to accommodation or whatever, but they weren't fed properly.
Should have gone to Greg's.
I agree. One person woke up and there was like a cold Big Mac on the floor outside their room and they were like,
Should
this
have
is
gone
for
to
you.
Greg's.
Should have gone to Greg's. And also of the 456 contestants, none of them got paid or have been getting paid. So this is happening and let's watch it.
Great,
Let's watch it, Mason.
Let's watch it. Why not? Yeah, that sounds like... Because
It seems excessive, don't you think?
What seems to happen here is they've taken all the worst aspects of reality TV and also game show TV because it's like, okay, we need to get proper coverage of this, so let's have everybody stand still for 15 minutes.
Yep.
It's not how these games work.
No, not at all.
That's going to be...
That's going to be, would that be a whole episode? Just that red light, green light?
Oh, maybe, right.
Because one of the things about the Mr. Beast video is like it's pretty tightly edited. So it's not like an hour of red light, green light, which is not interesting. But I don't know. What a disaster. Yeah. And it looks like nobody learned anything from the Squidler game, the other Squid Game show,
right.
or the Mr. Beast Squid game that he already made and did. Yeah. Mason, we're going to ramp up to some DC stuff right now.
Love it.
But of course, before we get there, this is we need to talk about this week at Look What They've cancelled this week.
Oh, here's something that I know they've cancelled.
What is it?
It's the TV series Pennyworth.
Is this your one bit of news?
Maybe.
I have that bit of news. Does that count as your one bit of news?
Yeah, probably.
I guess so, Mason. The origins of Batman's butler.
Well, what do you call it? The butler who saved America or something?
I don't
What do you think it was called?
The butler who eventually knew Batman, and
That's
he said,
right.
hello.
Did he, though?
Did he?
Well, here's the thing. So this, I think maybe we've mentioned before, this particular version of Alfred is the Pennyworth series is a prequel to Gotham.
Yeah.
But it is also a prequel to the V for Vendetta movie,
As
I
we
guess,
discovered
or
recently.
the comic book series. It's set in the same universe. So does that mean
Remember, Batman's butler. I think the expression is from the comic.
So is the idea that Batman lives in a universe where at one point in
They did
London,
a big V for Vendetta.
They did a big V for Vendetta for a couple of years?
It also might be one of those universes where maybe there isn't a Batman.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's the origin of Batman's butler. It'd be called the origin of nobody's butler.
Well, I guess also...
I decided to not get into butling, actually.
This is also a universe where there is no Batman because they've cancelled it.
Well, and also, I don't know if you saw this.
London exploded?
Yes, there was on spoilers for the final episode of...
By the way, apparently this show is pretty solid.
Well, yeah, the main guy looks pretty charming and what have you, and there's some, as we've seen from clips, there's some interesting stuff happening in it. But if you saw on Twitter, somebody clipped the final scene of Pennyworth, the last episode, and spoilers for
He's got
this.
sideburns and he's at a
He's
wedding.
got a big sideburns and a big widow's peak. Well, he's at his own wedding.
Yes.
And his wife to be says, "Yes, I'll marry you." And then it comes to him, "Do you take this woman?" And he's about to answer. And then they're on the outskirts of London, I guess, or out in the country or whatever. And then there's just an enormous nuclear explosion in London.
Do you think it was the V for Vendetta starting?
Maybe, but maybe because
Maybe in this version of V for Vendetta, it was a bomb and not a virus.
See, I thought the V for Vendetta stuff was happening. Some V for Vendetta stuff was happening in season 3. I don't know.
Don't know.
But maybe
there was some. I think it was more of a hint.
But here's the thing also. Everybody reacts like it's nothing. Everybody just looks over and is like,
Is that?
And I think what that was on set, they were just like, we don't know what you're going to be reacting to.
Could be a lizard.
Could be a lizard. A big lizard's crashed this wedding. He's on the cake. He's on this horrible 1960s British cake. It's made of jelly and carrots. I hate this. But I don't know. But the London
carrots.
London goes up and everybody's just like, I guess, which is wild. And
does that mean he's not married? I guess we'll never know. Chekhov's is the butler married.
That's right. Yeah, technically not, but also probably never coming back to this universe unless they do another sequel.
The Cat in the Box one, that one.
Schrodinger's cat.
Thank you.
Yes.
Schrodinger's is Batman's butler.
Schrodinger's Batman is a butler. Unless we go back to unless there's another CW-style shared universe that they build, and then they can go back to it in a crossover and be like, what happened to that universe? Well, it blew up.
That wasn't London. That was Tottenham.
Might have been Tottenham. Oh, no, what's going to happen to Tottenham Hotspur? Not my Spurs.
No, that's bad.
But also, I think based on some of the stuff that happened in that season, it might have also been an hallucination. Yeah. Maybe London didn't really blow up. I don't know. But again, we'll never know.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. We'll never know.
I think there'd probably be a comic at some point. Like, because Smallville is continuing in comics.
That's true.
And that was well after the fact. And I think they're even doing an animated series, aren't they, of Smallville?
Maybe.
Well, they were. Who knows whether that's happening now. So what's happening with the DC TV stuff at the moment, the stuff that's not in the mainline universe, which is just Peacemaker at this point.
Yeah.
We'll talk about more.
Because James Gunn, he did a big announcement.
Yes.
And so it's Gunn and Safran, and I think they've decided to be good cop, bad cop.
Oh, okay,
because one announces all the exciting new things.
The other one goes.
And the other one is like, and we're cancelling things.
This is why this isn't happening.
Yeah, this is why. And first bit of news, obviously.
Oh, can I just quickly say, so we've got the Arrowverse wrapping up. Gotham Knights is starting soon on CW.
And will soon to be cancelled.
Soon to be cancelled, probably. And Superman.
Have you seen the trailer for We'll get to that, sorry.
No,
I'll put a pin in it.
And Superman and Lois seems to be good for at least a couple of seasons. Anyway, let's talk about the trailer for Gotham Knights. No, I haven't.
The main guy's just a guy. He's some guy. He's a new guy. He's Batman's son, but he's just a guy. You'd be like, you know how Batman technically has all those sons?
Yeah.
Well, it's not any of them. It's
What's his name?
I'm going to look it up.
So he's a Wayne.
No.
And he's not like a Robin?
No. Batman is dead and a powder keg has ignited Gotham City without the Dark Knight to protect it. In the wake of Bruce Wayne's murder, his adopted son Turner Hayes is framed for his killing. With the charismatic and hard-charging District Attorney Harvey Dent of the GCPD hot on his trail, Turner must rely on allies, including his best friend and formidable coder Stephanie Brown, and unlikely Batman sidekick Carrie Kelly.
Okay, right.
So Carrie Kelly is the Dark Knight Returns Robin from the future and also the 80s. And Stephanie Brown is Spoiler, who became Batgirl, and she's now one of the Batgirls.
Yeah.
But who's why have they... I wonder if this is another one of those copyright things where you can't have Batman and Robin in the same TV series.
Yeah, I think, again, they like to reserve him for, like, their big A-list properties and whatever.
Right, but why not just a Robin? I guess because Titans? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess because Titans. Great point. A show that is cancelled.
He's also cancelled, yeah.
Anyways, Mason, you're talking about good cop, bad cop. Yeah. So this is what Peter Safran said via Variety about the Batgirl movie.
Oh, yes.
Now, if you recall,
this is what I'm thinking of, actually.
Yeah. You can talk about it, or I can read the quote, however you want to do this.
No, if you can, yeah.
Okay. He said, I saw the movie and there are a lot... Oh, by the way, if you don't know, they filmed the entirety of the movie and then they binned it. And this was before the new DC, the shift change.
Yes.
A new team punch carded in.
Yes.
I saw the movie and there was a lot of incredibly talented people in front of and behind the camera on that film, but that film was not releasable and it happens sometimes. No, it doesn't.
We'll release anything. We'll get to that and Warner Brothers release schedule. We'll talk about that.
That film is not releasable. I actually think that the president of Warner Brothers, David Zaslav, and the team made a very bold and courageous decision to cancel it because it would have hurt DC. It would have hurt those people involved. It would have not have been able to compete in the theatrical marketplace. It was built for the small screen. So again, I think it's not an easy decision, but they made the right decision by shelving it. Mason.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, he can say anything he wants because we'll never see it. So
yeah,
he can absolutely say, yeah, no, it was actually... So we actually saved you. You all dodged a bullet, actually. We were spraying bullets left and right, and you just dodged them.
I think it was... I mean, maybe it was bad. We won't ever know.
Well, that's why they
Or
can
maybe
get away
it was
with
a
it,
tax dodge.
Yeah.
He's not going to come out and go, yeah, it was the tax thing.
Yeah, right, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually really good and very releasable, but we wanted to save some money, and we just decided.
So we have, and we did.
Yeah, we had.
And I'm proud of myself.
That's right.
So there you go. Let's get into the slate then.
All right, well, first of all, James Gunn did come out and he said, look, first of all, just as a point of difference from Marvel and in the wake of the release of Steven Spielberg's The Fabelmans, from this point forward, all DC superheroes, where possible, will be pronounced like their surnames. And then he announced Superman Legacy and The Batman 2.
Yeah.
And he said there's actually going to be a retroactive redubbing, like a historic project where they're going to redub all the old stuff as well.
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah. Going to be Batman Returns, Batman Begins, you know?
The Dark Knight featuring Batman.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Keaton's, there's going to be that iconic scene where the criminal's like, who are you? And he's going to be like, I'm Batman.
Batman? Multiple men.
Maybe.
In this suit. Yeah. That's great. So here's what he said to Screen Rant about kicking all this off. He said, I wanted to take care of these characters. We all know it's been a fucked up road for many of them for the past few years. And
First of all, rude and edgy, and I like it.
And I really thought it was a challenge, but I think it's a possibility to create something really wonderful with these characters. The history has been shit. It's been a real fucked up journey for DC. I think there was basically no one minding the mint, and they were giving out IPs to any creative that smiled at whomever was in the room. There was never really any power given to the people in charge, and so somebody could always go over their heads and do whatever they wanted. And people have thought that's the implication that Dwayne Johnson was at his way on Black Adam and Henry Cavill.
Dwayne Johnson.
But we don't know who specifically he's talking about. He said, we had the DCEU, which they never officially named, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
When
did they have a chance? It only went for like 15 years.
Which then became,
When did they have a second to themselves to just sit down? Sometimes I'll take a day, James, and I'll have a day off, and I'm like, today I'm going to delete some tabs in my phone browser. It'll be my whole day. Just really get into it, really reorganize some stuff. They should have taken a day.
I agree. We had the DCEU, which then became the Joss Whedon Justice League, but it was also the Snyderverse, which became this. And then we have Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 2, which doesn't even match what happened in Wonder Woman 1. And then we also have the Arrowverse and even us coming in with the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. And you know, what is it exactly? All of a sudden, Batmite's a real guy. So how can we take these things together and make them make sense and have them unified and have them be one real universe, one real world?
Was Batmite a real guy?
He was mentioned in Peacemaker.
Oh, yeah.
I know this is harsh, and Snyder fans might not want to hear it,
Okay.
but it is a mess.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this. Like, it's all over the place, man. And look, I'm not saying what he's doing necessarily is going to be the greatest thing ever, but looking at this lineup, I think this could be really incredible, genuinely.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? But first, let's talk about the things that are going to be wrapping up under the old guard that they're going to be releasing.
Yeah.
So in the statement that he put out, which is him in front of a brick wall.
That's edgy.
That is
like
edgy.
a 1980s stand-up comic.
Yeah. He wrote,
I'm down here in the comedy cave.
they're going to wrap things up with Shazam 2, The Flash, which is apparently going to reset the universe, which means they're probably going to maybe film some stuff that's going to be connected to his DCU, potentially. Maybe the new Superman or Batman, I don't know.
James, Superman and Batman.
Superman and Batman.
At least for this episode.
Yes.
But that's probably coming up here, but like they're really hyping up that Flash movie.
Yeah.
They're like, this is the best thing we've ever done, maybe.
We'll see.
We'll see, won't we?
And Aquaman 2.
Sorry?
Aquaman 2.
Aquaman
2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that he got into all of that, right?
Yeah.
And basically, like, yeah, these are great and we're still releasing them, but there is going to be a reset point, which is just like how they reset with the New 52 in the comics, essentially. So there's going to be an 8 to 10 year plan, and chapter 1 is called Gods and Monsters.
Interesting,
Now,
right?
the idea is, this is by Jeff Snyder, who's a big Scooper Mason. He said, because of that 8 to 10 year plan, talent is being asked to sign a 10-year deal that covers both film and television, which makes sense. And the first thing that's going to be released is an animated show written by James Gunn, 7 episodes, called Creature Commandos.
And speaking of, not only has this been a big week of new announcements of new projects for DC, it has also been a big week for comic book creators learning that their creations are being used in TV and film. Specifically this, I think it's J.M. DeMatteis, who created the Creature Commandos and has used them a bunch of times, was like, that's interesting.
Am I?
Yeah.
Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. But I will say this. What I do like about these announcements, and I feel like some of this is after that, some creators came out. James Gunn came out and he named specific comics which were either the story or the tone.
Yes.
And I think that's really important to acknowledge that these aren't ideas that have come out of thin air.
Yeah.
People created these and often got paid very little to no money to do so.
Yeah.
And even the fact that they're getting eyes on these creators and maybe hopefully throwing some more money their way is a good thing.
Yeah.
And I hope that becomes the norm across all mediums who use comics. I think,
and in all walks of life.
yeah, because in Marvel they'll often use a story and then they won't pay somebody properly or at all.
DC, are known pretty widely for being better at that. I don't know. I don't think we know any figures really, but there are stories about how people have been, they got paid more for Lucius Fox than, was it Len Wein who created whoever created Lucius Fox got more for that than Thanos.
Okay,
I think
I remember that.
I think it's the same creator.
Well, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
Morgan Freeman,
Yeah. I'm probably crossing my wires there, but it was a minor character, major character.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, I remember something along those lines. So this is going to be an Amanda Waller-led monster Black Ops team. Gunn said also it allows the creative collaborators to tell stories that are gigantic but without spending, $50 million. Because as we know, Mason, animation... You can
do anything.
You can do anything.
Budget's unlimited.
It's basically free to make.
Just knock it out in a weekend. So this lineup is interesting.
Yeah.
The guy on the left, I believe, is Rick Flag Sr.
Who do you think they're going to get for that?
Maybe they'll get...
Joel Kinnaman
Maybe they get Joel
again.
Kinnaman or Joel Kinnaman's dad.
Joel Kinnaman's dad?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Joel Kinnaman Sr.
Is it one of the Skarsgård brothers?
It might be one of the Skarsgård brothers.
Yeah.
So the line,
Weasel's on there?
Yeah, Weasel is on there, so that's a carryover from the Suicide Squad. We got both Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yep.
The glowing skeleton, I believe, is Dr. Phosphorus. Mm-hmm. And then we've got some sort of shape of water mer lady.
Yep.
I think. And a robot guy.
And a robot guy, that's correct. Now, what's interesting about that is also...
That's probably a known robot guy, but I don't know who it is.
Probably. I mean, yeah, some of them I remember and some of them I don't.
And what's interesting about this as well is that, like a lot of big two comic book properties, both sides have one of these. Both Marvel and DC have a...
Monster Squad
They have a Monster Squad of sorts. In fact, I think maybe Marvel's is the Monster Squad. But they both have a team of weirdos, many of which are, outside of copyright, universal monsters that they have, that they're in a team. Sometimes they're in World War II.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're a special ops team or whatever. But this might be, is this the first one where DC's done it out of the gate?
Might be, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting as a first choice.
I wonder if they saw Werewolf by Night and they were like, that's probably what Marvel's going to do.
Yeah, maybe.
We're going to get a bunch of horror weirdos in a team. Let's do it first.
I do wonder, and
of course, this is animation, so you can just knock it out.
You can do anything.
Just knock it out in 5 minutes. They probably
fine.
knocked it out in 5 minutes.
What's interesting is a couple of things. They're going to cast voice actors who will then appear in live action at some point, potentially.
Right.
So they're obviously going to look similar to their counterparts. Obviously, there's going to be some CGI characters here, so they're going to voice them regardless.
Maybe it will be Kinnaman then, yeah.
But also, there was a second thing I was going to say and I've forgotten. But that would have been also interesting, Mason.
It sounds like it would have been interesting. You're often saying interesting things, and I like that.
Oh, what I was going to say, that I know you said maybe they looked at Marvel and what they were doing with Werewolf by Night. We don't really know when Gunn came on board for this.
Right.
How long was he writing this? Was he writing this long before he was decided that him and Safran were going to take over?
That's true, yeah.
We don't know the timeline of any of this. Obviously, when they make the announcement that he's taking over, that's a deal that's potentially 6 months to years, in the making. Maybe not years, but Yeah, we don't know at this point.
This article I'm reading here is saying that at one point one of the members of the team included a riff on the creature of the Black Lagoon called Bogman.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fun.
Great.
And also, this is like the Suicide Squad, like the Justice League. This is a roster that they can swap out.
Kill
Anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So there's also going to be a live-action series called Waller, which is a Viola Davis-led series set between Peacemaker Season 1 and 2. Peacemaker Season 2 has been delayed because of everything else James Gunn is working on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to have Crystal Henry, one of the minds behind the latest Watchmen series, and Jeremy Carver, who worked on Doom Patrol, which is great because they just cancelled Doom Patrol.
Yeah, so he's free.
And because it's a good show,
Yeah.
admittedly I haven't seen it, at least they recognize that, like, well, one of the people who worked on this is obviously talented, and let's give them another shot.
Right.
So they're going to be writing it. And these Creature Commandos and Waller are expected to debut before the first movie, Superman Legacy. It's called by Safran an aperitif.
Oh, very
So they
fancy.
say, yeah.
He's edgy, but he's also classy. I like that.
Just like a cold egg you can eat
Like
before
a cold
meal.
egg, yes, that's right. Like a champagne and Monster energy drink.
Mixed?
Yeah.
Separately.
No, mixed.
Next, good,
Yeah.
yeah. I like that as like a jumping off point.
Yeah.
Before getting to a big movie. I think that's good stuff. But let's talk about a big movie.
Oh, a big movie.
It's Superman Legacy.
Nice.
This has a release date for the moment of July 11th, 2025. Now, James Gunn said this is what his version is going to look like. He's a big galoot. He's a farm boy from Kansas who's very idealistic. His greatest weakness is that he'll never kill anybody, and he doesn't want to hurt a living soul. And I think that sort of innate goodness about Superman, that's his defining characteristic. He's also going to be writing the project, but Safran has said, and we've mentioned this, that he hopes James Gunn can be persuaded perhaps to direct as well. And I think, look, as we've said before,
I guess I'll do it.
Well,
I guess I'll direct a Superman movie.
if he's doing this universe, and this is the first movie,
Yeah.
and he's in charge of this, and he wants it to be his vision and the best version of this, it would make 100% sense that he directs this movie.
Absolutely.
And I think that he could make an excellent Superman movie.
Yeah.
For real this time, though.
Yeah.
I know, like, all the Superman movie have their strengths.
Yeah.
But just the idea of seeing, this, it's kind of based tonally on, like, all-star Superman.
Yes,
And this mix of, like, naivety and, like, good-heartedness, but intelligence and,
Yeah.
and in journalistic integrity and investigation and aliens and being, like, an immigrant from outer space and all of these things. I think this... I've been saying for ages, I want a definitive modern Superman movie, and I don't think that they ever got that with the Henry Cavill Superman.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're also going to cast about 25,
Yeah.
which is why they haven't brought
Yeah.
Henry Cavill back
and
for
so
this.
to be clear, we don't know any actors who are about 25, so
No.
we can't really.
Can't help you, sorry.
There's a front runner and he looks pretty Superman-y, and I'm like, yeah, looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Can he act? Don't know.
Can he run? Can he front run?
That's what you need. That's right. And didn't James Gunn produced, or at least co-produced, Brightburn?
That's true.
So we know he's got the, he's got the, he can do that. He can make superpowers look
yeah.
for real,
I think also, like, he does heart.
Superman superpowers.
He does heart really well.
Yeah.
I know he can do, like, weird, gross stuff.
Yeah.
But if you look at, like, the Guardians movies and other things that he's done, that he can do, like, he can elicit emotion.
It's true.
Even if it's, like, a horrible little raccoon or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think,
But can he elicit Superman punching a man into space?
I hope so.
Yeah, same.
I think also there's a good chance that this is there'll be a Lobo situation. Lobo comes to Earth and is like, hello. And Superman's like, just don't. Stop it.
Could you give it a rest?
I don't like your flying motorcycle, sir.
It's too loud. I'm putting in a complaint to the council. We're going to get a sign.
Of Krypton.
We're getting a sign put up that says, please,
Sir.
sir.
After that, we're going to be having the show Lanterns, which is an enormous TV series that follows Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart as they discover a dark mystery, true detective style. It plays a really big leading role in the main story that they're telling
Hal
across.
Jordan will be on meth the entire time.
They're telling across the main story
Space meth.
of
Smeth.
of film and television. Now, there was a Green Lantern series. It was going to be Guy Gardner-led and Greg Berlanti was doing it, who was behind a lot of the Arrowverse.
Yeah.
That's not what this is going to be. I love the idea of, like, space mystery Green Lantern. And what if, like, the greater mystery is like a, what's his name? The big skull ship guy. Brainiac or something like that.
Yeah.
Like they're uncovering an intergalactic mystery. They could also tie it into. We read an excellent Superman comic recently about an alien invasion and a girl.
Up and Away?
Yeah, which is incredible. Like maybe it ties to
Link
something
them all
like
together,
that.
yeah.
I mean, the True Detective thing is a bit like.
That is a lofty goal, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean,
maybe if they're like True Detective, the Vince Vaughn series. Not the one that everybody loved universally.
True Detective, but the old pulp magazines that weren't very good. Sorry, we tricked you, but bad. Yeah, look, I mean, what if it is, though? Like, what if it is just a good prestige TV series?
Yep.
Because, Amazon Prime do it and all, where it's like a great drama set in space.
Yeah.
That is achievable.
Yep.
And a good-looking superhero TV series.
A couple of good-looking roosters heading it up.
Yeah, it's for a couple of those roosters.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously we've had some attempts at Green Lantern in the past. There was a 90 Tally movie, which we covered in Caravan of Garbage.
That's right.
Terrible. There was the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds.
Terrible.
Excellent. I agree. Yeah, really good. And we also done a video on it. But let's see whatever this is. I mean, because they are essentially space cops, aren't they?
Yes, that's exactly right.
So, let's see that, I guess. Yeah. Next up, this is really your wheelhouse. I'm going to throw to you for this, Mason.
No.
It says being a big loser.
Oh, yeah, cool. Great. I'm ready. I've never been more ready in my life.
No,
that dream where you wake up at school and you haven't studied for the test and you're naked? Well, I've studied for this test and I've got so many clothes on. I've got a bunch of T-shirts that say, I'm with a big loser, and there's an arrow, it's pointing right up at me.
No, it's The Authority.
The Authority, great.
Based on the Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch's comic.
Yes.
These are the Wildstorm characters.
Yes. So, obviously, Image Comics was a bunch of former big two. It was mostly Marvel creators who went and formed their own company.
Yeah.
But Jim Lee created Wildstorm, which was his own kind of superhero universe, and different creators jumped in with that and built up that universe.
Yeah.
And one team was Stormwatch, which was a government superhero agency. And then in the universe, some members of that team went rogue, and then they added some more members, and they found a like a miles long spaceship in an interdimensional breach, and that became their base of operations, and they became the Authority. And they were like, and it was a sort of a superhero team that is there's an early storyline where a bunch of aliens from a parallel universe come and invade Earth, and they beat back the invasion, and then they go into that parallel universe and they destroy their planet.
Right.
Like, it's that kind of universe.
Yep.
It's like they re-invade the invaders and they kill them all.
Wow.
Like, I think it was described as sort of like widescreen comics. Like, it's big action.
Okay,
like,
sure. Big splash pages and
pages, and they're not averse to blowing up a planet or finding and killing God, for example.
It's interesting you say that, because apparently with this story, this is according to Peter Safran, they take things into their own hands, and they're kind of like Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men. They know that you want them on the wall, or at least they believe that. So basically, bad people.
Yeah.
Thinking they're doing good, or sometimes doing good.
Oh, well, what I should have said is also, eventually the Wildstorm universe, Jim Lee sold it to DC, and many of those characters got integrated into the DC universe as a whole. And so some of them are like Marvel, they're like homages to existing super. So like there's two characters, Apollo and the Midnighter, who are Superman and Batman, but they're a couple.
Yep.
For example,
couple of good friends,
couple of really good friends and roommates
who are gay for each other.
Oh yeah,
all the time.
They're also that
big time.
Yeah. And again, it's sort of interesting. I'm not super across.
Do they get into like the power dynamic of that, in terms of like one is a superpowered being and one's
the Midnighter
like
is also superpowered.
Oh, okay.
He's like Batman times 100. So they were both
Batman.
Yeah. So they were both. Their origin is basically they were both experimented on and given superpowers. And Apollo is like Superman. He's got solar power based super. But Midnighter is super strong and super resilient, but he also has a computer in his head that can calculate millions of battle probabilities.
Someone put a calculator in his head.
Yeah, he's got a big calculator in his head. He sometimes says
TI-83.
Says boobs, and he's like, no, thank you.
Not for me.
Not for me. But it's like he's one of those guys where it's like before the fight starts, he's already won because he knows exactly when. So it's that guy. So that's interesting. But I'm not overly familiar with the DC versions of these characters. So
Okay,
I'm not
sure.
sure. I'm not sure who's still on the team or who
You
they
haven't
got
read
rid
this
of.
particular Warren Ellis.
No, I've read that one
Yeah.
because that's pre DC.
okay, sure.
So this one is like, so yeah. But there's like, again, it's like huge stuff. Like there's one of the characters. He's called the God of the City. So he's a guy. Speaking of being experimented on, his origin is that he got abducted into the future as like a kid and a teenager. He kept getting abducted by what he thought were aliens and like getting like all sorts of bionic enhancements and stuff. And then it was revealed he was being abducted by humans from the future because in the future cities became sentient like immortal engines.
Right.
And like there was this sort of future apocalypse and they were coming back through time to destroy the earth.
Oh
and so he
my
had to
God.
fight a sentient city. And his origin story ends with him turning Tokyo into a giant mech suit and punching on with a flying city. So it's like that level of
Insanity.
So if they're going to put that, I'm very happy. If they're gonna
Sounds
put
like it
that-
should be animated because then it wouldn't cost
Oh,
anything.
it'd be free. So I don't know what level of again. There's just and it's look and some of that.
I mean, Gunn loves a big weird thing like
that's a
Starro.
big, yeah. That's
so
a big weird
why
thing.
not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and some of it is also after Warren Ellis. There was like a Mark Miller run.
Yep.
And that's pretty edgy and rude.
Ooh.
So I don't know how much edgy and rude stuff they're going to put in.
Sure. Okay.
But I would recommend all those runs. I think.
Okay. All right. I might look at some to all of them, Mason. Next up,
You know what? Speaking of,
Sure.
what I like about what Gunn is doing here is it's not like they've taken a photo of Benedict Cumberbatch and he's reading a vague Doctor Strange comic or whatever. He said, here are some stories that inspired what we're doing. It's not the exact stories, but here's the vibe.
Yeah.
And you can buy them and people have bought them.
Yeah.
And it's not a case. Apparently Marvel sneak a QR code into some of their stuff and if
Yeah,
you scan it, you get a
happens
free copy of the whatever.
Yep.
That doesn't work.
Doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Just show people what it is and people will buy it.
I completely agree. And also I feel like the way that they gut the comic book industry because they don't seem to realize that a lot of the value in this IP is the fact that all of these stories have been tested
Yes.
in another format where they have been proven to work.
Yeah.
And then they borrow them and put them on the screen. And I think bringing light to that could even hopefully revamp a lot of the fact, like new ideas and new stories.
Yeah,
Because there is the threat of if you keep doing events in the comics where it's Civil War and then it's Civil War 2 and then it's Civil War in an alternate dimension or whatever and then it's World War Hulk and then it's World Wars Hulks. And what are we doing? Where are the new events? Where's the exciting new characters? Where's different stories?
I mean, speaking of DC, obviously in Batman v Superman, they did the Dark Knight Returns and they did Doomsday.
Yep.
And they did some Injustice stuff.
And
Just-
it was Justice League Origins.
and they just burned it all in the one movie.
Yeah,
and it's like
I
you could have done a really, regardless of how people think about that movie,
Yeah.
which is hilarious. That could have been 4 movies or 5
Yeah,
movies.
I
but,
agree.
But they, Zack Snyder went, well, it'd be cool if I could do all of them. And
What
they
if
went,
Doomsday showed up at the end?
Yeah.
But it's not really Doomsday or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, we love the Snyderverse and we'll never stop campaigning.
We'll never stop loving it.
Yeah.
You can't stop us either.
It's definitely, it has its strengths, but also as we've talked about, he's not even doing that stuff anymore. He's at Netflix making Star Wars Netflix or whatever.
Yeah.
Next up, Mason, we have something called Paradise Lost, which is a Wonder Woman prequel likened to Game of Thrones. Now,
See, there we go. There's that True Detective comparison.
yeah.
again.
I also like the way they're pitching this to anybody. So if you hear that, you're like, I get that.
Yeah.
That's not an obscure reference. It's
Sure.
like, you like Game of Thrones? This is that, but it's all women.
It's the good seasons of Game of Thrones too. We're not going to screw you over in the last one. I'll tell you that much.
It's really about political intrigue behind a society of all women. How did this come about? What's the origin of an island of women? Because this is interesting because what are the beautiful truths and the ugly truths behind that? Because if you look at like the history of Themyscira in various comics, this society are like this beautiful like utopian of all women and warriors and all this, like everybody's kind of getting along. It's just built off the backs of like slave labor and blood and and all this and all this other stuff. And what's the scheming like between the different power players in that society? So there you go. And maybe they'll even get Robin Wright back or whatever.
Sure.
Because she does a good political intrigue. They didn't say that, but that was just something that I'm waxing poetic about, Mason.
Is that what you're doing?
That's what I'm doing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Sounds like a real Game of Thrones True Detective style thing
But
to
the
do.
good seasons.
But the good seasons, yeah.
Yeah. Mason, we're going to take a little bit of a break for me to say this. This is all related.
Mm-hmm.
Variety have said that the plan is that Safran and Gunn we're going to release roughly 2 films and 2 TV shows per year into the DCU. That output will not, however, sacrifice quality to meet deadlines. Gunn and Safran were adamant that films and series will not go into production until scripts are finished. And you might be like, that seems obvious. Isn't that what they always do? No.
Apparently not.
You would be shocked at how many productions roll with unfinished scripts, or they kind of change it halfway through and they're writing it on the day, which is also can be good things when you're finding the story kind of on the fly. Sometimes that can work. More often than not, you watch it and you go, what was that? What happened? And the reason is because they picked a release date and then they just ran at it no matter what happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Also, speaking of, did you say 2 movies and 2 series a year?
That's the
Right. I think also perhaps part of that plan is because Warner Brothers doesn't have any money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't. That's an interesting point that you bring up.
And the question becomes, because we've mentioned it recently, the movies they released last year were Don't Worry, Darling and Black Adam.
2 good movies.
Which didn't review well and didn't do well financially.
2 good movies, though.
2 very good movies. I'm sure I said they were both best movie ever, so...
Yeah, that's what we're saying, 2 good movies.
But, so much of this production, I think, relies on Gunn and Safran getting some money for the first couple of things and hoping they're huge hits.
Yep.
And then getting more money
for Iron Man strategy.
The Iron Man strategy, because if that doesn't work, maybe this whole thing is a house of cards that's going to collapse. Because if they make Superman Legacy and it doesn't do particularly well, I don't know if they're going to have the money to make Game of Thrones, but it's on Themyscira.
And the TV show.
Because that's going to cost $10 million an episode or whatever, or more. I don't know what those shows cost.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. It's also interesting that it seems as if like DC, I don't understand why they weren't leaning into this more heavily earlier. This is obviously the most valuable thing that Warner Brothers has, right?
Which bit?
All this DC stuff.
Right.
And I know they have other properties. I am aware of that, an animation department, etc. But this is...
Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, well, yeah. Space Jam, another Space Jam.
Right.
But this is... If
Space
you do
Jam
this right...
into the Jamverse.
This is just a fucking Scrooge McDuck bin of just straight money forever. If you do it right.
Yeah, right.
It's basically you could do the MCU with this, like levels of levels of wealth that you're bringing in. I guess what I also like about this is there is that balance, and it's even in the name of Gods and Monsters, of like, here's some weird stuff, and here's some, and here's Superman. I think that's great. Anyways, here we have, Mason, The Brave and the Bold, which is a bold title for a movie that I would have thought they just would have said Batman. It's another Batman movie. This is inspired by Grant Morrison's Batman Volume 1, which I actually haven't read, but it's going to include a new Batman and Damian Wayne. It's going to be a father-son story. So Gunn described Damian Wayne as our favorite Robin, a little son of a bitch, an assassin, and a murderer. So if you don't know, Batman has a child in the comics and various other mediums with Talia al Ghul, who grew up in the League of Assassins, and he's just basically a little psycho. And then he comes back to Batman, and Batman's like, you shouldn't kill people. Do you want to be Robin? And he's like, yes, but I am going to try to keep killing people. And then Batman's like, just
you
don't.
Scally, you little rascal. You're such a rascal.
If you were anybody else but my son, I would put you in jail.
Right?
But
you get a pass for some reason.
I wouldn't say he's my favorite Robin, but...
Yeah, but it's an interesting
I
dynamic.
like the premise of this, yes, and the idea behind it. So it also implies that there is a Bat family, because Damian Wayne is like 4 Robins in, 3 at least.
If you don't count Stephanie Brown, 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That also means like there's a Nightwing. Yeah. Maybe there's a Carrie Kelly. I know she's from the future or whatever, but we don't know what this is going to look like.
That's true. Yeah.
I think this could be a fascinating story, Mason.
Fascinating story.
And a little bit of fun and all that.
Let me ask you this, James.
Sure.
Because obviously we've got the Batman.
Yep.
And we're having new Batman.
New Batman?
Based on Grant Morrison's Batman. Do you think this is the time to reintroduce blue and grey costume?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's comics.
Yeah.
And this is comics.
This is comics, baby.
Absolutely.
Or maybe even, the one that's like, purple inside cape.
Yep.
You know, give us the oval, the yellow oval bat logo back or something. That there's like the blue and grey costume can look very cool, I think. And if you want to differentiate,
I've seen cosplays of it that work as well.
And if you want to differentiate the various Batmans, if you want people to not be confused when you see a Pattinson Batman or a regular comic book Batman.
Or Ben Affleck Batman.
You go give them the. You could make it armored, but you could also make it more cloth. You could give it the one of like, you know, it's the lightweight costume for swinging about the city. It's not the battle suit kind of thing. It's not the mech thing, you know.
It's not the mech thing.
Completely
agree. Yeah. So that's pretty much all the information we have on that. So let's move this along to Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Now this is a Tom King comic. And by coincidence, I happen to have just read this. It's an intergalactic story of revenge. It's a fantastic read if you haven't already. So basically what we've got here, Mason, it says, we see the difference between Superman, who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents from the time he was an infant, versus Supergirl, who was raised in the toilet. In a kryptonite toilet. It was raised on a rock chip of Krypton, and everyone watched everyone around her die and be killed in terrible ways for the first 14 years of her life. So Supergirl comes to Earth when she's like a youngish teenager. Yeah, so the comic book version, I think she's supposed to be older than him, but she arrives after, so she's younger than him. She's older cousin. That's one of the continuities. Sure, it's so. They both rocketed from Krypton, but due to some time dilation thing, he arrived first and grew up to a man. Yeah. And she's like, I'm still a girl. I'm in a toilet. That's right. Yeah. Probably the malnutrition due to the toilet thing. Absolutely. Yeah. Now, what's great about this, and I don't know if you've read it. Have you read it? No, I haven't read it. You should read it. I've read it already. I refuse now. Is that it's one of the things that I know you love about Superman stories or characters like this, is that it's an intergalactic adventure where Supergirl isn't particularly special depending where she is. Right. Some of the planets have a red sun, so she's not superpowered, but there's still some like residual energy from that. It's basically a revenge story where a girl asks her help in tracking down her father's killer. She's like, all right. Sure. And they just have this like road trip together through various planets and meeting. Busted up space RV. Yes, basic stuff like that. Yeah, cool. They'll get a space bus places. Now, is this going to be the Supergirl that is the Supergirl in the Flash? That's a great question. Supergirl? I would say that depends on how well that movie is received and how well she's received in particular. Oh, yeah, probably true. Yeah, but potentially, yes. Yeah. But also potentially no. And I'm happy to say that. Yeah. Who do you think I think we are if we're out of our depth anywhere, it's everywhere. But if we're out of depth in any particular thing, it's probably casting, especially young actors. Yeah, I'd agree with that, yeah. Yeah. Who's the new Batman? We don't know yet. Don't know. Mystery. Yeah. New Superman? We don't know. Well, Batman's going to be a little bit older because if he's got a son, he'd have to be at least early 30s. I don't think or mid-30s, maybe early 30s. Yeah. I think they're not going to do 45-year-old to 50 grizzled Batman yet. They'll probably get to that eventually, like the Affleck style. But it also, I know there's been some talk about what age do you make his son? Yeah. And I know people have said, well, it'd be more appropriate if he was like 15 or 16. Yeah. But I think, no, make him 10. Right. And then that's crazy. Yeah. Like a Hit Girl style lunatic. And I think... But the actor would have to be... The actor would have to be slightly older, I guess, or look younger, or 10-year-old, whatever. Yeah, right. But I think that is more interesting than a person who looks like a man doing this. Chris O'Donnell, for example. The same height as George Clooney, I think. But I think, and I think that lends itself to a different style of fighting. He's more of like a ninja. He's more of an assassin. He's not like a big bloke. He's like a light little guy with a little katana or whatever. Yeah. Killing people. So I would like to see that because it's like weird and fucked up. And I think maybe James Gunn would he would absolutely do that, yeah. But I can absolutely imagine just like just a corridor fight like in Daredevil, but it's a tiny little boy with a katana. Yeah. There you go. And then you're right. We get to meet the rest of the Bat family, mate. What if the new Batman, they just throw in a couple of more Robins and a Nightwing and a Red Hood and just be like, here it is. Yeah. Absolutely. Completely agree. Yeah. Next up, we've got Booster Gold, which is going to be a live-action series. This is described as which is true of the comics, a loser from the future who uses basic future technology to come back to today and pretend to be a superhero. Basically, Booster Gold is imposter syndrome as a superhero. Booster Gold is a lot of fun. In the comics. There's some animated stuff, which is quite good from, is it the JLA series? Yes. Where he has his own little episode at one point. Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's kind of... Basically, if you've seen Mystery Men, he's basically he's kind of like the who's the guy who's all sponsored in that?
Oh, yeah. Greg Kinnear's character.
Yes.
He's like...
Mr. Superior or whatever
Something
it is.
like
I
that,
can't
yeah.
remember what it is.
Yeah.
But it's basically that guy, but he doesn't really believe anything about himself. Like,
Yes, right.
He's all hype, but also he's really a hero. I saw people...
And he comes back to get rich, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw
rich
some-
and famous. Yeah.
Yes. I saw some people being like, maybe Chris Pratt would be a good fit for this, and I think that could be the case. But then also, like, Glenn Powell put his hand up and went, yes.
Oh, that
mate.
could work, yeah,
He's
for
from
sure.
Top Gun Maverick, obviously, and I think that could be good. So there's some casting for you, Mason.
Captain Amazing was Greg Kinnear's character's name.
Okay, there we go.
And also, like...
James Gunn loves a loser as well.
That's true.
Like a lovable loser. Yeah.
Well, he replied to us that one time.
That's
So-
true. That's why he likes you so much.
Oh,
Mason.
come on, mate. No, I just made that joke about us and then you made it about me. Should stop wearing this T-shirt. But I love it. It's cozy.
It's good.
Booster Gold, of course, famously in the comic books is often pals, big time pals with Blue Beetle.
Yeah, I like that team up.
Do you reckon we'll get that team up with Blue Beetle,
Yeah.
the movie, which is currently it's been made and still on track and it's definitely being released?
that's one. Actually, you're right. We didn't mention, but yes,
but
Blue
it's a
Beetle,
different Blue Beetle.
Yeah, I mean, you could still do that.
Yeah.
But yes, I wonder if they're going to address any of the other Blue Beetles in the Blue Beetle movie,
Maybe.
or if they cancel Blue Beetle.
Maybe they might
I
cancel
don't-
it. Yeah,
I
we
honestly-
just will not have anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know much about that because we haven't really seen anything except some like paparazzi shots and like a logo.
Yeah.
So I don't really
And
know.
there's no...
I like him though. He's in like
Yeah.
Karate Kid and whatever.
Would you say it's based on the stuff? Because I've not seen it. I didn't see it anywhere. It wasn't in cancellations. Nobody said, and it's going to...
Didn't he mention it briefly?
Maybe he did. I didn't see it, though.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Um,
I think it's still coming out. I think he
okay,
has
right.
mentioned it if he didn't in this at
okay,
least.
right,
Yeah,
right.
I might be
Good,
wrong.
Good.
Yeah. Next up,
Yes.
while you're maybe looking into that, or
I am
maybe
looking-
you're shopping for new T-shirts, is
I'm a super big loser. That'll do it. But ironically, that's what it says.
on the back, yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be Swamp Thing, which is inspired by Alan Moore's Swamp Thing Volume 1. So it's going to be a dark origin of Swamp Thing, which we actually saw recently in a TV series, which again we looked at, which was actually quite good.
Yeah.
James Mangold seemed to be officially in talks. He also posted a picture of it on Twitter.
That's true.
Also, he might already be signed on for this.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
feel like that's very much possible, very, very possible at this point. So Gunn referenced the initial reactions to Guardians of the Galaxy joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the initial questions about how Rocket Raccoon would work standing next to Thor. And he said that mashup quality wound up being one of the highlights of Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, which I think is true. So Gunn said they're one-upping that approach with Swamp Thing. This is much more. This is a much more horrific film, but will still have Swamp Thing interact with other characters.
Oh,
that
maybe Swamp Thing and Weasel.
that Alan Moore Swamp Thing run is great. It's also got a sequence where he takes over. I think it's Gotham, and so they send in Batman, and Swamp Thing just beats the shit out of Batman.
Yeah.
Batman puts a flamethrower on him, but then doesn't realize that Swamp Thing is literally everywhere in the city because he's covered the city in like various growth. And
That was
so
the
he
era where
just pummels Batman.
That was the era when Batman was not completely invincible and had.
He didn't have his plan. He just went in with a flamethrower.
Yeah. It's just him being beaten up by supernatural weirdos like month after month.
Yeah.
Oh, what
I
an
love
era.
that.
Okay, so according to Blue Beetle updates on Twitter, then there's Blue Beetle on August 18th. I think James Gunn is saying here that sort of has its own world and fits in directly into our DCU.
Okay. Yeah, that's yep.
Okay, so that's still happening. So,
So happening at this point.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Interesting that they've gone with Swamp Thing, a series that they cancelled before it was fully out.
Yeah, but nobody watched it,
That's true.
unfortunately, because it's quite good.
That is why people didn't watch it.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And now to wrap this up, though apparently there might be some other stuff announced, like this is just the initial kind of lineup. They've talked about Elseworlds, and Elseworlds is going to consist of, which is basically, if you don't know, Elseworlds is story set outside of the main continuity.
Yeah.
Kind of like, it's not like, I was going to say like Marvel's What If. It's not like that. It's just, it's like Superman Red Sun would be an example, where if Superman landed in Russia. Superman where he's British.
Yes.
That's another
True
one.
Brit.
True Brit.
I think what it is.
Crap comic, apparently. Haven't read it.
Yeah, I've read it. It's not good. Yeah, so basically what happened was years ago, DC had their infinite universes, and they were like, this is too complicated, let's get rid of it. And then immediately they were like, I kind of miss this.
Yeah.
We would love to have. So then they went Elseworlds, and Elseworlds is basically like, well, initially it was like, these are just vaguely whatever.
Yeah.
Is it a parallel universe? Is it an imaginary story? It doesn't matter.
Who cares?
It's just an
Who cares?
Elseworld.
Shut up.
Yeah, just shut up. Shut up. And then, years later, with years more of continuity, a lot of the time they've gone with they are parallel universes.
Yeah.
You can go and visit them. They can come to other universes. Vampire Batman can fight British Superman or whatever.
Shut up.
But if you could shut
Yeah.
up, my God.
So I like this. I like this idea. So basically we've got, for the moment, these aren't a surprise, but Joker 2, which is already happening. The Batman Part 2, which has a release date.
Great name for starters.
I agree. It's the sequel to, obviously, The Batman with Robert Pattinson. Bat and Bat. That's out in October of 2025. Also, apparently that Ta-Nehisi Coates Superman movie is still happening. Teen Titans Go, the animated series, and occasionally they do a movie. That's also part of that. Now, Safran has also said the bar is going to be very high for projects that are outside the DCU, these Elseworlds projects. But now and then there will be something that lives up to that. Okay. So basically saying that the barrier to entry for this, you have to have a pretty compelling pitch and idea to come in. Because it needs to stand alone. And also, I guess what's interesting about this is you could get a Joaquin Phoenix or Robert Pattinson or whoever to do one.
Yeah.
Maybe you get Henry Cavill to come in and do Superman on British.
Yeah, he is British.
I know, that's what
British,
I'm saying.
James.
Yeah. I don't think they're done with Henry Cavill.
Kryptonite on toast.
Yeah.
It's not British enough.
No, crumpets.
Yeah, kryptonite on crumpet. That can be his catchprise. Kryptonite on a crumpet.
But not for me. It'll kill me. I won't.
Yeah.
I won't have that.
Yeah.
I'll die. But so that's interesting. Also, Peter Safran talked about Zachary Levi, who's obviously Shazam, Gal Gadot, who is Wonder Woman for now at least, and Ezra Miller.
Everyone here for now at least.
Yeah, he said that there's no reason why all these people you mentioned couldn't be part of the DCU. We just haven't decided what the story is, what we want to tell that incorporates Shazam or Aquaman.
Oh, yes.
We didn't, he said specifically, though we don't know in what capacity, we didn't let Gal go. So I guess we'll find out. Ezra's movie is already made. That is a problem that they have to deal with no matter what.
Yeah.
It costs too much money, and apparently it's so good that they have to release
Best movie
it.
anyone's ever made. People have wept at the cinema.
Yeah, and Henry doesn't fit for what I have for Superman. That was what James Gunn said. So he also said, maybe it was
Ugly. My Superman's going to be really ugly.
Big Argo.
Yeah.
I think this is Safran said, we fully support the journey that
His logo just says, I'm a big loser, and there's an arrow that points up to his face. What's the S stand for? Well, on my planet, it stands for I'm a big loser. They made me wear it, and now I'm just I've settled into it.
Yeah,
so.
it's fine. This is in regards to Ezra Miller. We're fully supportive of that journey that they're on right now. When the time is right, when they feel that they are ready to have a discussion, we'll figure out the best way forward. But right now, they're completely focused on their recovery. I think as soon as The Flash comes out, that is dead.
Yeah.
They will remove Ezra Miller, which I also think is probably a good idea at this point. James Gunn also mentioned this week that he doesn't agree with necessarily everything that an actor says, and this is in regards to Zachary Levi. When he was like, Pfizer's whatever. And look, I know,
Well, I don't agree that it is whatever.
I know that, that could be taken as a general statement against Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Nobody's pro fucking Big Pharma, but I think it is very specifically,
We'll take
about,
that money.
Vaccine stuff. But James Gunn is just I don't know, I don't agree with everybody, and so whatever.
Yeah. It is just, look, regardless of your opinion on any of that stuff, what a terrible time to tweet that at all. Regardless of what he meant,
movie's coming out.
whether it's a dog whistle to anti-vax people or it's just a thing where he's like, yeah, I don't like the fact that there are big corporations or whatever. The fact that it could be interpreted a bunch of ways and you chose now to say it, what were you thinking?
Some people say hero, though. What a hero.
Some people would say what a hero. They'd be like the perfect time to say that. But not the money men at Warner Brothers.
No.
They'd be like, don't do that. Why would you do it?
It's also mentioned here that they're working with Ben Affleck, who really wants to be part of our architecture team, trying to bring things together. Oh. And he really wants to direct one of our projects, and we're looking forward to him doing that. I wonder if that's going to be his Batman movie.
Boston Batman.
Get in the car. Get in the car.
It's the Batmobile.
Get in the Batman car.
Yes. Precisely.
Cool, he's a good director, so, why not?
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to be Batman anymore.
Yes,
and he
true.
loves that, I think.
He would 100% direct a Batman movie, so he can just, every day he just walks in and just...
Eats a donut.
Eats a donut and jeans and a sweatshirt.
Holding a cigarette.
And he just sees the new Batman come in and he's just like, yep, great. How's the suit? Uncomfortable? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, how you 5 hours you've been in that.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be 5 more, won't it?
Yeah,
I can leave today.
We extra made this one that you can't pee in it.
Yeah, that's right.
Doubly so.
Yeah, it circulates around the suit and it runs down your eyes.
But that's Hollywood.
Yeah,
And you
that's
knew
right.
that
Yeah.
going in. Yeah, so there you go. And I guess just to wrap this up, video games.
Ooh.
This is via DC.com. This is the head of DC Studios, James Gunn, explained this. It's not like we're going to
Who's
have...
that guy? Never heard of him.
It's not like we're going to have a Superman movie come out and then we have this Superman game come out. It's more like that we'll have a Superman film that comes out, then maybe 2 years later we have a Supergirl movie coming out, so then what's the story in between there?
Oh.
So, yeah, I think you can tell, like, smaller or different or, whatever narratives from
bridging
that.
the gap, I guess.
Yeah, which I think is cool. It also takes the pressure off having a game released at the same time as a movie. But also, I don't care if games tie into... I want games to be good, and I don't care if it's the same Superman. I don't give a shit.
And the answer of what happens in between the Superman movie and the Supergirl movie is nothing. So it really takes the pressure off the game designers.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just Clark Kent sitting in his apartment wearing a T-shirt that says, I'm a big loser, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's everything.
Whoa. Big week.
This is pretty promising. Early days, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how the next 8 to 10 years shakes out.
We'll see how it shakes out. We'll see how much of what has been said here is hyperbole and what is real stuff. Will we get a true detective style?
Yep. Will the money run out?
Will the money run out is a great question.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but in the CW, there's a character called Diggle. He's an
Yeah, I
original
do know,
character.
yeah.
And there was apparently in the last, few seasons of the CW shows, there was a big, long-running idea that he would become a Green Lantern somehow.
Yeah.
And at the end, he's just and at one point he gets like a mysterious box with a green glow in it, and he's like, he can't open the box, and obviously there's a Green Lantern ring in there. And at the end, they were just like, no, he chooses not to take the.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't get the box open?
Couldn't get the box open. He hit it with a rock and everything. Got his mate, he had a welding torch. Couldn't get
Really?
it. No, I don't know.
Well,
but I think
that's television.
I think there was some justification around we don't want to put Green Lanterns on TV for it yet, and this is probably exactly the reason.
Yeah.
But I think it's just funny that he had this whole story arc of like, is he gonna? And he's just like, I've chosen not to do this.
I know what this is, and I've chosen not to.
I don't know. I think so.
Bizarre.
Sounds like work to me. I don't like it. Give me a regular gun any day. They fire in space, right? No.
Oh, no. Now, Mason, we've had an exciting time in the show so far with various news and whatnot. You've been here. You know what I'm talking
It's been
about.
great. It's been incredible. Maybe the best episode we've ever had.
Well, I think it's about to be, Mason, because it's not very often that we get a guest that we actually want to have in the studio. It's really quite a pleasant surprise, when somebody just slithers in through the door without us knowing, and we look up and they're there and we're like, what the hell, that's somebody who's very talented and we've been a big fan of her work for a long time. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I refuse to look to my right, so no, I do not know who you're talking about. Give me some clues and I'll see if I can work.
Okay, sure, Mason. Well, look, she's probably best known, and this is her words, and look, I don't think it's strictly true, from maybe some guest appearance in Aunty Donna, even an unofficial member or even an official member. One of my favourite Aunty Donna skits you wrote.
One of their skits and riddles.
Yeah, the the one of the boys.
Oh, one of the
sketch.
boys. Yeah.
I love it. It's such a journey of like sadness and friendship and misunderstanding, and afterwards you're like, oof. There's just a lot in it.
Thank you. I wanted it to go to Sundance, but we haven't heard back.
So she sounds like a comedy writer.
Sure.
And performer?
Yeah, there's definitely elements of that because there's comedian. Obviously, she's an amazing singer, writer, actor. Average Bear, her stand-up special is on Paramount Plus as we speak.
If you're in Australia, or if you're not in Australia and there's a VPN.
Yeah, was it on? Where is it? Else Places.
Else Places, it is literally only in Australia on Paramount Plus, and that's because it's about to tour overseas, so you can't watch it on the telly. You have to get out of your fucking house.
Look, I do want to talk about tour dates and all the things that you've got going on. By the way, that show, Average Bear, it's amazing. It's incredible.
God.
Like,
No,
it really
I'm
is.
shy.
I actually watched it. Well, actually, I listened to it again today because I was with my kids. But what a journey. Like, it starts as one thing and you're like, this is a bit of fun. Look at this as a bear and whatever. And then it's just like this roller coaster of emotions and sadness and grief and fun and joy.
Dad, I made you this gift.
Get out of here.
I'm listening to Michelle Brasier on Average Bear.
Yeah, I'm experiencing real emotion. But look, before we do any of that, you're a big Fast and Furious fan.
Michelle Brasier's here, by the
Oh,
way.
yeah, sorry. Did we say your name?
Hi, I'm Michelle Brasier.
Hi, Michelle.
And I'm here. I slithered in.
Yes, that's right. So you're a big fan of the franchise.
I am the possibly the biggest fan of the Fast
People
and
might
Furious
know her,
franchise.
in addition from being from Aunty Donna and Average Bear on Paramount Plus, you might know her from an episode of Do Go On where she
an award-winning episode of
Yeah.
Do Go On.
Oh, I didn't know that.
won
Yeah.
a big Golden Crab, I think.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In which she recapped the entirety of the Fast and Furious franchise. And we thought,
Yeah.
look,
Yep.
it's 1 week until the Fast 10 Your Buttholes
Yep.
full trailer is coming out, and we thought there's 1 more week before we can do just absolute rampant speculation based on absolutely nothing.
Yep.
And the Fast X promo poster is out, and we're like, we need a bona fide expert.
Yeah, we need someone who knows what they're doing. So you've got it on your phone and you've got it face down.
I've saved it. I've saved it for the first look for with you guys. Do you want to hear? I'm
Yeah.
looking at it.
100%.
But if you don't say wow, this has all been a waste of time. So if you have a pre-canned response, that would be great.
All right, no, I'm ready. Okay, hang on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, very okay. The end of the road begins.
Does it feel like it could be from any movie except for the first one?
Yes, it does.
You know, like I don't feel like there's anything kind of like.
There's no clues.
No, there's no clue. It's just like what Vin Diesel has looked like for the past 18 years.
But I do think, having looked at the poster, I feel like maybe he went to like the production designer or photographer and he's like, okay, well this is Fast X.
Yep.
So maybe I should be wearing my X. And they're like, yeah, what? You know, my X with
X
Jesus
that I
on.
wear.
The X with Jesus
You
on
know my
it.
Jesus X.
Yeah. That one?
Absolutely. So how does that feel? Does it excite you
It
at all?
feels solemn. It feels
Yeah.
sensual.
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited for this film. I am slightly concerned they're going to CGI Paul Walker in.
I have a note. Do you have a bad feeling that Paul Walker is going to return?
Yeah, because he just keeps, Vin Diesel on Instagram keeps
I
posting
know, right?
Fast 1 trailers and just like all of this. Like he's not really focusing on anything else other than Paul Walker.
Yeah,
Sometimes you need to let dead men be dead.
I completely agree.
Not in Hollywood.
No, not in Hollywood.
Not in Hollywood, baby.
How do you feel about that idea in general? Because like, you know, they obviously get his brothers back to play him, and it's all, you know, his family all supported, etc., and so forth. But it always feels ghoulish, like every time. I guess the first time I get it because he was alive when they were filming that, and so they
Yeah.
finished the movie.
The first one makes sense.
Yeah.
That all makes sense that we need to finish filming this movie. It's kind of a tribute to him as a film. It depends on how they use him. But it would, I mean, listen, if some car, like if it's like, you know, Dark Knight of the Soul, Vin's about to be killed, everyone else is on the ground, a car pulls up and it's Brian's car and Paul Walker's CGI ghost gets out of that car, I will scream. I will be like the happiest girl in the whole world. Even if it's ethically unsound, it makes me feel horny.
Yeah,
maybe,
fair
maybe
enough.
Maybe he's got the kids in the back.
Yeah.
Got guns.
Maybe
Yeah.
they
Ready to
do.
go, you
Because
know?
he's always babysitting. That's
Yeah.
what he's always, Uncle Brian.
It's also really weird how they've treated him in the franchise because, like, in the real world, he's obviously dead, and we all know that. But he's alive in the movies, but they also talk about him like he's dead.
Yeah, like he's retired.
Yeah.
I don't know why he looks after the kids.
I
all
don't
the
know.
time.
Yeah, I mean, they had that. The last one that he was in was like, you know, he's had enough of the bullets and he just wants to drive minivans and I don't know. But then he's like, the mother of his children is there and doing all the adventures and I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't mind her going out.
No, he's
and risking her life.
I never believed in that relationship, if I'm honest, from the get-go. But
Yeah, it wasn't the best vibe.
no,
Well, the thing is, in real life, he was attracted to younger women, I think,
that is a factor.
which is kind of a full-on
Yeah,
thing. It's good to not explore that.
I completely agree.
Isn't it good?
You could just let that part of yourself, if you have it, just maybe just let it sit idle, you know?
Like a car.
Like an idling WRX.
Yes, just pop it in a box. don't look at it. Don't let anyone look at it. Just shush.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, do you have more
Well, I was going to say,
speculations?
what barriers are left to explore?
To
Deep
jump.
sea.
Because you went to space. You did?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what
good.
I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think deep sea,
Space of the
the space of
water?
the
The Earth.
of
yes.
the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. He's a real space of the earth kind of guy. I just feel like space would be, where else are we going to go? Either it's just street racing or we're going to the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
they go back to basics.
Into a
Maybe
volcano, maybe?
That'd be pretty
Okay,
rad.
yeah,
Well, that's what
alright.
they're doing for new Avatar. Next new Avatar, they're going to a volcano.
I haven't seen The Way of Water, but I have seen Wakanda Forever, which I think is the same.
They're not,
You're not wrong.
dissimilar.
Yeah.
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 Well, the avatars are there and they're doing their thing.
There
so.
certainly is blue underwater people,
Who do
etc.
you think's coming back? I feel like at this point,
Isn't Gal
Literally everyone.
Gal Gadot is coming back
yeah.
apparently, even though she fell out of that plane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes 100%. Like, of course she's not dead.
No.
Of course she's not dead. And will she reunite with Han? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
That was a love story for the ages.
That one felt real to me. Like,
It felt
genuinely.
so
I like that
real.
one. Yeah.
I cried the first time when she was like, "Where do you want to go next?" And like he would always say somewhere else before Tokyo, and then he finally was like Tokyo, and it was like, "No,
Don't go to
Don't
Tokyo.
go.
Tokyo." And then it's like, it doesn't matter if you go to Tokyo because you're unbreakable.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we were talking about this recently. What did you think about the reveal that Han just wasn't in that car that exploded? He was across the street. He just
I
wasn't. He just
loved
wasn't.
it.
He loved it.
I was
good.
like, "Yeah,
See,
I'm
this
on
is the
board."
correct
100%.
attitude.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I think
We're too critical. You're right.
We've
yeah.
ruined our lives with cynicism, where we're like, I
I'm-
want a rational explanation.
I've never-
I don't think
I'm-
we should go in there like that.
Opposite of a cynic.
Yeah.
Like honestly, it's a huge. I can't believe that I'm not in some religious cult. Like I am so. I will just get on board.
Yeah.
I've watched every season of Doctor Who, no matter how bad it is. I'm like, that's all right. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
I
That's
sto-
canon now. I love that.
I stopped when Peter Capaldi came in on a tank playing a guitar. And I'm like, I don't think this is. I'm going to come
That's because
back.
you're dead inside, James.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Like I watch the start of every season, but obviously, Tennant's coming back, and you always want to see what a new Doctor does.
Tennant coming back.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Okay, my prediction in Fast 10, your seatbelts, is that David Tennant's coming back.
All right, then. Great.
Yeah,
Cool.
he's coming, and Billy Piper as Rose.
That would be one. I would love that actually. That would
Yeah.
be really delightful.
And a motorcycle with a sidecar.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh
And
my
she's
God.
driving though.
Yes.
Oh, wow, that makes you think.
He's the
doesn't
kind
it?
of person that
Yeah.
would be like, I'll go in the sidecar.
I think the
feel.
guy who, the one guy who hasn't come back yet, and maybe I've mentioned this to you, James.
Yeah.
Remember the guy that's killed in the drive-by in the first one?
Oh, yeah.
That goofy guy? The goofy guy?
He
What's
gets
his
into
name?
debt.
He's all
Goofy guy.
Yeah, he's like, I'll bring
He's
him
all
up.
just a young little goofy
He gets
guy.
machine guns.
Oh yeah, because they're trying to save him, but
Yeah.
he's stuffed up, he's screwed up. Yeah,
Yeah.
Apparently
I mean,
he's
that would
back.
be great. That's great.
Oh, he is back. Okay.
Apparently he's
and like
back.
the guy from the random guy who came back in the last film, who was just like the random driver guy who was like, I'm here and I'm kind of doing space stuff. I love that. I love that just
Oh,
the guys
every
from Three.
extra
The guys-
will come
yeah,
back.
yeah.
Maybe Ja Rule will come back.
Oh, yeah.
I think Jarul's bitter.
He is bitter.
He
But
should
it's his
be.
fault.
He
Yeah, it
fucked
is
up.
fault,
He
yeah.
turned it
Yep.
down.
Yep.
Yeah.
He thought he was too good.
Yeah.
Now look at him.
Idiot.
Not in these movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, one more question then.
All right.
Because
I'm ready.
it's-
Is it
so-
for me?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's for the room.
Okay.
Every, the last 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of these, it's like there's a bad guy and then they slowly come
You
into
join the
fight,
family.
they join
Yeah,
the
yeah,
family.
yeah.
which is
What if in
beautiful.
this one there's a horrific betrayal? And who would it be?
Like within the family.
Within the
Oh
family.
my
Somebody,
God.
they take it and they turn it.
Mamma mia.
Yeah, right.
Well, I think Charlize has to join the family.
You think
Yeah.
so? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's she related to in these movies? Is she like Statham's sister? Is that
Yeah,
somebody
maybe.
else's? Helen Mirren's
Helen Mirren
daughter?
is Statham's
mother.
mum.
And Luke, Statham's brother who was in the coma.
Yes.
Luke, whose
Evans.
name's Luke Evans in real life.
Yes.
But maybe she's not related.
No, I don't think she's
Yeah.
related.
Huh.
She's
Yeah.
just a
Yes.
badass.
Yeah,
Maybe
she
she can
certainly
marry
is.
into the family.
She'll marry into the family.
marry into the
Maybe
family, yeah.
Gal Gadot resurfaces. She is dating Cypher. And now it's like a Charlize and Gal, and like Gal's torn between her past because she
Yeah,
finds
yeah.
out she's gonna go in and get them, but then she sees Han. She's like, oh my God, Han's back. What do I value more? Money
Yeah.
or my family? But is Charlize my family? Maybe everyone's my family, and then they're barbecued.
And that,
Okay, that's perfect. That's actually
Well, that's also similar to what happened when Michelle Rodriguez came back and was like, I don't remember being in a family. And then she's like, actually, I do. I remember now. It was
Yeah.
good. It was good.
She rules.
She does, doesn't she?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Oh, sorry.
No, I've just got a lot of questions that have been building up.
Yeah.
What are you going to do after 11? Like once it's
It's not gonna stop,
No, it's
though,
not
right?
going to stop. You're right. Just wait for 12,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Are you going to
Wait.
watch Fast and Furious Animated Adventures or whatever that little show for kids
Oh, yeah,
was?
there's that Netflix
Oh,
series.
on the Netflix.
Yeah.
No, I have not watched that.
No.
I hope they continue the Hobbs and Shaw franchise. To be completely honest,
Really?
Yeah, I loved Hobbs and Shaw. I told you
That's
I
a
am not a
line you-
cynic.
No,
yeah,
you're
sure.
right.
Okay, we fight at dawn and then it's suddenly midnight or the opposite way around and now it's a storm. I don't care if it's only been half an hour. It can be any type of lighting you want. I believe in you, Hobbs and Shaw. Do whatever you want.
It wasn't so much the lighting, I think, of that movie for me. It was like...
You didn't think that was crazy?
I didn't think about it. Like,
Okay,
maybe
it was.
In
They
this
were
universe,
like.
there's half an hour of nighttime and then it's dawn again.
It was quite mad.
Yeah.
Like
That's
it
right, 'cause
was.
they showed up and he was like, I'm ready with all my Samoan family or whatever.
Yeah, which was amazing.
And then he was holding a truck in the
He
side
was
of
just
a cliff.
holding a truck.
Yeah. But just like he had like nanotechnology, the bad guy that meant he could like punch people through time or whatever was happening.
Yeah.
I just kind of I don't
That's
know.
how David Tennant gets in.
Actually, if
just my
they
theory.
brought that back around, then
There's a
that's
different
fine.
version of me that like sits inside a dark room and writes fan fiction.
Here's a question. I know.
Oh, wow. I thought we were
now I
done
have
with questions. All right.
Because The Rock doesn't want to do them anymore. He's been very publicly like, I hate you, Vin Diesel. Stop texting me.
Your
He's
two
just
dads.
shy. I know
Yeah.
my dads are fighting. But I think maybe I have a new dad. I'll talk about it later.
All right.
All right.
I'm shy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting some Dave Bautista vibes. Or the Ronald Weasley guy. I don't know. We'll see. we'll talk about
Ronald
it.
Weasley cannot be my dad because he was my sexual awakening.
Okay, that's probably,
sure. All right.
No, you're right. That's a great point.
Yeah.
I'm glad we clarified
He
that.
was all of our sexual awakenings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember we had that
100%.
phone call. We were
Yeah.
like, yep,
Like,
at
guys,
the same time,
are you
right?
feeling weird about this in your pants?
I got that MSN notification. Bloop, bloop. Oh, who's this? Oh, it's Michelle and James. All right, here we go. Finally, something to talk about with this.
Anyways, your new show, can you just talk about it? What's happening? Tour dates, all of it.
Yes. Okay. All right. So, Average Bear, my Average Bear tour.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Average Bear, which you can see on Paramount Plus, if you are in Australia, but if you're in London, you can see it March. I think it's the 6th.
It'll be in the show notes.
Till
I
the
can-
12th. It'll be in the show notes.
I can bring
show
up the
notes.
dates. I have those.
Yeah,
here,
so it's like the first or second week of March in London at Soho Theatre. It's about a bear who's afraid to go into hibernation. Her friends keep calling her and they're like, "Babe, we're at hibernation. We're doing shots. Where are you?"
Is that
Is that a
Naomi
metaphor for your
Higgins?
life?
And
Is that a metaphor for your life, Michelle? Or is it real?
It is a metaphor. It's real. No, it's real. It's a real bear.
Yeah.
And yes, it's played by Naomi Higgins and
Yep,
Mitch Whittrip.
that's what I thought.
Well
Yeah, yeah.
picked.
Thank
And a lot
you.
of people at Edinburgh Fringe Festival coming out and being like crying, wiping their tears away, and then being like, "Was it Naomi and Mitch?" And I was like, "Yes, it was." But yeah, so it's about this bear, and it's also about me and my family and a genetic disorder that we share, and loss and a fire and learning to walk again and cheesels and just making a choice of like, you know, if you found out you had less time to live than the average bear, how would you spend your life? How would you spend your time? So yeah, that's what it's about. It's got songs. It's it's going to be good. Like it's award-winning.
It is
you know what I
good.
mean?
It is good.
It's
We've both
incredible.
We've seen
I've
it.
done it enough times now to say it's good. It's very rarely had an unsold seat. Like it's just it's a solid one. I've done crap work before, but this is reliable.
Name one of the things. No, don't.
My fan fiction about David Tennant.
No, that was good.
I disagree.
That's good. It was
Some of your
the
best.
logic was bulletproof in that. I thought. Now
Thank
I've seen Average Bear live. James has seen it on Paramount Plus.
Twice.
You-
No, sorry, I listened once and
Like
I watched
regardless,
the other time. Yes.
regardless of what format you see it in, it's a great show. So
Yeah.
people should.
Completely agree.
Question though.
Yes.
Do people in London know what a cheesel is? You're gonna have to
Well,
tell
I
me.
say Cheez-Its.
Nice.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
sure. Come
yeah.
on.
Don't worry,
Okay,
I'm
great.
culturally aware.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
that's
That's
I come
good.
to the table.
All right, good.
Yeah.
It's also, you've got some legacy as well because you're touring around Australia.
Yes,
later in
Legacy is
March.
my new show, which
Yeah.
is so funny that like Legacy is the big theme of Fast 10.
Yes.
And it's not a Fast 10 show. I just want to clarify. It's not about that. I mean, it could be.
It's good to hit that on the head though.
Yeah,
Let people
it's-
know what they're walking into.
It's not about that.
Mm.
It's about essentially it's about choosing to have dogs instead of children.
Yeah.
And it asks the question if
Oh, I should have done one or the other.
Yeah,
Just
you
realising
made
now
a
that you've
huge
said- yeah.
mistake. Yeah. You only need one to get into
Damn it.
the club.
Do you want
The
to
Qantas
take
Club.
my kids or children on the way out?
I'll
Hold on.
take your dogs. I love them
Okay.
both so much. I love the old one in particular.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love them both. Thank you very much for the gift of your dogs. What was I talking about? My show.
Yeah, Legacy.
Yes.
That's also you're also touring that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm touring that in Australia, and that one, it's about like a legacy that I feel like I've been building for a little girl who doesn't exist because she'd absolutely ruin it. And it's just about that. It's about that. It's about women trying to have it all, and it's also about a mystery of this different Michelle Brasier who I found, and about all the different decisions that lead you to be a different person. And it's just a search for this girl who I ended up with $10.50 of hers.
Oh.
And I tried to track her down and give it back to her. Because, okay, so what happened? So, you know Mission Zach? Mission
Yeah,
Zach,
yeah.
like, was Armour. So they were having a little showing and I had a comp ticket. I went along at the Lido Cinema. I went and I was obviously surrounded by, Donna fans because it's a Zach event. And so I had a little hat on and I was like, just trying to blend in. And I don't mind being recognized, but if it's at an event like that, I'm like, I don't want to cause a disruption because I'm such a celeb. So we put on a hat and I went up to the front of the line and I was like, hi, I've got some tickets for Michelle Brasier. And they went and had a look. They were like, no, there's no tickets for Michelle Brasier. I was like, don't say my name. And then they were like, I was like, they're comp tickets. And they're like, oh, you should have said they were comps. I was like, I didn't know that I should. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
and then they
you
went
should have
away.
said that.
Yeah, they went away again. They came back and they were like, there's no comp tickets in the comp area, but there is this. And they gave me an envelope, a Lido branded envelope, and on it had been written Michelle Brasier and then a dollar sign. And they handed it to me and I said, is this the tickets? They said no. And I said, okay.
What?
And I opened it up and it had $10.50 and mostly coins. And I said, are the tickets $10.50? They said no. And I said, okay, this isn't mine. You take this back and I'll buy a ticket. And they said, well, we can't accept this. And I said, why? And they said, we don't take cash. And I said,
We only give cash. We only give cash at the Lido.
So then I went on a mission to try and track down this other Michelle Brasier because I'd never met one before.
Yeah.
And so and then it became this obsession with like this version of me who I could have been and what's her legacy look like.
Was that the genesis of the idea for the show?
Yes.
Or was that okay? Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, we'll link all that below.
Yeah.
Your website specifically, which has all the tour dates and various videos and things that you've been
That's my
in.
manager good.
Yeah, look at all this.
Yeah.
It's like a really good. It's like a real website.
Good.
I mean, you
photo
won
was
that.
taken by Evan Munro Smith.
Ah.
I mean, some of your TV credits aren't here, but that's
Did they mention that you won that big crab or whatever? Is that on here?
no, the crab's not on there.
It should get its own page.
Yeah.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Big crab.
crab.
Big crab winner, Michelle Brasier.
ABC TV's mad as hell.
There
Great
we
show.
go. Okay.
Utopia, get cracking.
Yeah.
History. You've done it all, Michelle.
I literally have been
Yeah.
on many shows. It's absurd. It's a legacy.
That's true. And this one,
that's the
which
name
we
of the show.
appreciate.
Title of the show.
Now, before we get into Knock at the Cabin, it's well known, Mason and I have discussed this, that you love a romp. You love the movie Jungle Cruise,
Yes.
which also gets a little bit of play.
I love Jungle Cruise.
Nobody's ever said that, but that's okay. That's great.
We
I love
tricked
Jungle
you.
Cruise. I also love Jumanji.
No, I
that's
love
fair,
Jumanji, yeah.
Like every Jumanji.
New,
that's
old,
ever
whatever.
existed.
Yep,
Yeah, I love Jumanji.
I don't disagree with that.
So I became friends with Karen Gillan's husband.
Oh, really?
And I didn't know that they were married. And then she was sitting in the dressing room. We were sharing a dressing room. She was sitting there. And I've never felt so panicked in my life because I just kept saying to Tim, I just kept saying, Jumanji.
That's
Tim,
Ruby
Jumanji.
Roundhouse.
And it was quite a lot. And I hope she didn't hear it. And I hope she never finds out. So I shouldn't say it in a public place.
Yeah, probably not.
I'm probably going to tell him next time I see him. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
going to have to say, listen to me.
Yeah.
You simply must know.
You got the Amy Pond thing as well.
Yeah, there's
that's
a lot.
going on there.
She's a large figure in my life, and I did not know.
She was gonna be
She
the
was going to
room.
be just a wife of a friend.
Yeah, bizarre. Anyway, so what I guess I'm leading up to is that Knock at the Cabin is not what you'd traditionally call a romp, I guess, Like, I wish it was a better week for you to come on to discuss a movie, maybe.
I'm okay.
I just want to apologize, not because I think it's a terrible movie necessarily, but it's just want to put that out there. Anyway, we normally talk box office up top. It cost $20 million. It's made like 14.5 in the US. It's partially financed by M. Night himself, and there's some kind of deal with Universal. It's based on a book called The Cabin at the End of the World, which is a better title.
Knock at the Cabin.
Yeah, it doesn't
I
like...
want to talk about that.
Doesn't like...
Knock at the
Knock at
Cabin.
the
I think
Cabin.
maybe, because you remember Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah.
I think maybe they're like, it's a bit similar and people think it's the thing with the Chris, maybe they think
Nobody
it's-
saw Cabin in the Woods.
I
They could have
loved
done-
Cabin in the
Me
Woods.
too.
Yeah.
There's a bit of
Do you
Cabin
know
in
the
Woods in
musical?
this.
Is it called Cabin in the Woods musical?
Into the Woods?
We're 3 college students on our way to an old abandoned cabin in the woods. Oh yeah, it goes like that.
I've
Something
never
like
heard-
that.
I
It's
think
like a
I remember
parody
this.
musical.
No.
It's good fun.
We're thinking of different cabins in the woods.
No, I've seen the other Cabin in the Woods.
Okay. Okay, right. Anyway, I have to ask Mason what he thinks the story was. It's part of the
All right,
show.
hang
I'm
on.
sorry.
Maybe it's Evil Dead the musical. I don't know.
Okay.
Evil Dead,
Please
okay.
don't at me about this. I can't keep up with the internet.
There is a lot going on the internet.
I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad.
Not a fan.
It was a mistake, I think.
Yeah.
In a lot of
Somewhere
ways.
post MSN.
Okay, so there's a little family and they've gone up to a little cabin and there's 3 of them.
Yeah.
There's 2 dads and a little girl and they're in
Yep.
a cabin and they're having a great time.
Mhm.
And then the 4 people show up.
Yeah.
James Dave Batista and then
There's a
He's
knock at
so
the cabin.
nice.
He's so
there
nice.
there are 7 knocks.
Oh, I didn't count. Okay.
I noticed because I was like, this is an unsettling amount of knocks. It's too many.
Oh, I wonder if that's intentional.
It was like this. Can they hear me? Can you guys hear me?
So there wasn't even like a rhythm. That's sort of a rhythm.
Just like that.
yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is this?
Stop
What do you
it.
call this?
I think I know
And they're like, let us in.
Yeah, let us.
Anyway,
We're going to do a thing.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
I feel like he gets like a bad rap when you consider like his filmography, M. Night, because I think there's so much of it is good. Like his early work, obviously, but
He's incredible.
I agree. Like if you look at most directors' filmography, they haven't had this many hits. And I know there's like After Earth and Avatar and whatever, which are not good. You know the Will Smith one where he's
I don't know this. What is this?
It's
Did he direct that?
Yeah, he directed it. It's a post-apocalyptic Will Smith and Jaden Smith land on Earth in the future. And there's like big birds and stuff. I haven't seen it.
I mean, that sounds like a romp.
It does, but it's universally not loved.
Have you guys seen Journey to the Center of the Earth and Journey 2?
I've seen the original, but none of the newer ones. Not the
Okay.
Brendan Fraser one.
Oh, you gotta watch that Brendan Fraser one. It's very good.
That's the first one before he didn't get replaced by The Rock, right? Because the
Yes.
second one was yeah. Anyway, what's your like history with like this guy? Have you enjoyed his work?
We go way back.
Yeah.
We were lovers. M. Night, no, I like him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if old hadn't been called old, it wouldn't have been so upsetting.
Yeah.
Think like that. There's just particular decisions that I'm like, you made a weird decision. But I mean, like The Sixth Sense is like, there's so many, like, when we just think about like twists, you just think about this person. Like, he's a cultural icon.
Yeah.
And he has cool hair. I
He
don't
does
know,
have cool hair.
which is how I judge a person.
Yeah.
He makes a little cameo in every movie.
I
That's
know, he's like
delightful.
such a cutie. He's like, I'm just being in my movie. Don't look at me. I'm in the movie.
Who am I going to be this time?
Yeah, it's so cute. Stan Lee.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I enjoyed Old a lot. And I think like the ridiculousness of it, like the premise alone and the fact that when we talked about it, we called it The Beach That Makes You Old and just saying like that again and again.
Yes.
I just loved everything about it and the idea. And it's just so bizarre and the way that people interact with each other is weird because it's not how people talk to each other like at all.
No.
Which I like.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was a weird little art house move, and I loved it. I just love that he's so powerful that he can go, guys, there's a beach that makes you old. And to escape, you have to, spoilers, go through a coral tunnel. What do you think?
Yeah.
And everyone goes, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
There'll
yeah,
be
yeah,
a
yeah,
rapper
yeah,
there and his
yeah.
name is Mid-Size Sedan. What do you think about that?
But yeah, I mean, I think he's a cool guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never met him, even though we were lovers. It was online. It was through MSN.
Sure. I also admire.
Oh, it's him nice.
He's texting me on MSN Messenger being like, have you seen that Rupert Grint in Harry Potter?
Excuse me. I love also that he's gone more independent because he kind of made these big budget things and he's talked about how like he kind of got caught up in this system. And last week he was talking about how with like The Last Airbender, which is atrocious, how
yeah,
he just
I remember
leaned
that.
into the studio system and trusted that that would carry him through this project. And he realized that this isn't really the things he wants to make. And then he started
Like Iron Man. Like Iron Man.
Like exactly.
when Thingo made Chef, which is an allegory for Iron Man.
Exactly.
I hope anyone knows what I'm talking about. Just anyone.
No, people know. People
I love
know that.
Chef.
Ben, who edits for us, he made a video on that specifically, like
Cool.
Chef being an allegory for like the Iron Man franchise and John Favreau and whatever,
Cool.
whatever. So
I love
yeah.
John Favreau.
I know, right?
I
Yeah.
love big men.
Well,
looks
we
very
feel
cuddly.
very
Yeah.
inadequate then.
I love tiny men.
Thank you. But medium-sized
Not
men,
medium
get
man.
out of here.
Mid-size
Not regular,
sedan type
yeah,
man.
not
No,
a mid-sized
not
sedan
at all.
man.
Yeah. I think also with his movies, and I didn't like this one as much as Old, you really just kind of have to buy into the premise. Like, you just have to be like, okay, this is happening, and it's silly, and there's a lot of, like, if you think about the wider world and the existence of God and the apocalypse and all these things, it's like, I don't think makes much sense.
Well, my first question when I walked out was
Yeah.
like, is M. Night a Christian?
Right, okay,
I was like,
yeah,
this feels like propaganda.
Well, which one? Which one was it? Wasn't Signs? Was it the Visit?
Well, the Signs is about, like, lack of faith.
Yeah,
Mel Gibson's wife gets, like, smashed by a car and whatever.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's the one I'm thinking of.
But also, The Village is about that as well, isn't it? I haven't seen it in a long time.
Oh, The Village. Bit of fun. Oh, God. I guessed the twist and I thought
You
like,
guessed that
I
twist.
felt like Mulder or Scully. I felt so smart.
Yeah. I think what I thought was one of the downsides of this movie was not so much the little girl in it. It's the fact that she gets this like weird adult dialogue and then she just like clings to a man for the rest of the movie and doesn't like participate.
I think
and she's just kind of like there, and that's kind of.
I thought she was a cool kid, but yeah, give her more stuff to say.
Yeah.
When she's talking to the grasshoppers, she seems really like aware of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess that like they put that scene there to be like, this is the woman who has hopes and dreams and a future.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's context for what we stand to
important.
lose. But yeah, she didn't talk much.
I saw a very mean tweet a long time ago about M. Night Shyamalan that was basically like, all his movies look so gorgeous, but the dialogue is like atrocious. Like it was like his Spielberg and Tommy Wiseau in the same guy kind of thing. And I think like this movie looks like speaking of the grasshoppers, just that opening scene which is collecting the grasshoppers. Yeah. That was incredible.
The shots in and out of the cabin, the way they kind of like move between,
And I think so much of that just looks great, but it's just like
there is some clunky dialogue, isn't that? Like when Dave Bautista says to her, like she's collecting the little crickets and he's collecting the crickets and then they're having a conversation with the flowers. And he says to her, I'm sorry, that's too much of a personal question, even for this game. And it's like, what's this game? What do you mean even for this game? What are you talking about?
There's also this weird disconnect of like his great cinematography, but then, and I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but like whenever they cut to like, there's a cutaway to like a TV screen or like a remote location or something like that, where like the rest of the movie feels so real.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and now let's watch this. Let's turn the news on, and it's like, like
news time, everybody.
It's news time, everybody. It's
but
like,
I had a question about that was like, well, maybe that's on purpose.
I think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it today, and I can't stop thinking about it. So
Yeah.
I think I liked it.
It is, yeah, I agree. Now, I know you hinted at like somebody that you may be in love with and is your dad now. I'm assuming that's Dave Bautista and his giant
Daddy!
performance.
Wasn't he so nice with his glasses and his button-up shirt? They're like, how are we going to make this man look gentle? We'll put him in a little button-up with short sleeves and beautiful glasses. There's a part where he like loses his glasses, then he like fumbles and picks them up, puts them on, and I went, oh.
Oh, he's Velmet it. He's so Velmet.
Oh, he's so beautiful. What a sweet, sweet man.
I saw that thing this week where he was talking about how he's
He was
never
like,
been
I'll
in a...
never be a romantic lead.
I don't think that's true.
I'll never be in a rom-com. I think they should
He
put him
could
in a
totally be
I'd
in a
put him in a
rom-com.
rom-com.
Yeah, put him in a rom-com.
I'd put him in a rom-com. He'd be great. He's so likable.
Yeah, he really is. Like, of all the actors turned wrestlers, and this isn't like a controversial opinion, he's easily like the best.
Better than Hulk Hogan in Suburban Commando.
Everyone loves Suburban Commando, Santa with muscles, etc. and so forth, Three Ninjas and High Noon. But no, like he's so subtle and
he's a lot tidier. Yeah.
And I guess also he's been working on like that. Like The Rock is working on being like the biggest actor
He's
in the
a
world.
star.
The biggest. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a different kind
Dave
of
Bautista's
thing.
like, I want to be a storyteller.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you're so big.
I wonder if Dave Bautista started out like wanting to be just an actor, but then he was too big, and they're like, well,
Maybe.
Yeah.
well, this is your other option is to be a wrestler because
Yeah, big.
That makes sense because wrestling is like that. I've been to wrestling school.
Really?
Yeah, we had to go for an Aunty Donna sketch where I beat up all the boys.
Oh,
We
I
had
love
a
that
full
one.
day, at like
That's-
Melbourne City Wrestling. It
The,
was
le-
amazing.
the levels of depth in that sketch also. Like the meta-ness of it.
That was an M Night.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
How was that? Like
Really
doing
fun.
that stunt work.
It's
yeah.
so cool. The main thing I came away with was like, oh, okay, so it still really hurts.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It's you're not going to kill each other and you know what's coming, but it still really hurts. You're
So
still really putting yourself.
It's like lessening the impact. Is it like it's hurting yourself as little as possible?
Yeah, and just like ways that you can make it sound bigger. Like I learned about like when you fall on the ground, you like slap the ground, but it also like it you increase the area of your body, so it's less of a shock because your body is bigger and it has more surface area to take that shock.
Yep.
Things like that, and learning how to pick up Mark Bonanno. That's something that everyone has to learn on day one of
he's
Melbourne.
bigger than you'd think.
He is bigger than you'd think. Because
Yeah, he's a normal
He's
sized
normal
man.
size.
Yes.
He's a mid-sized sedan.
Yes.
People think he's small
Yeah.
man, but it's just that like
The other
Broden
two are
and Zach
freaks.
are incredibly large. There's
Yeah.
a tall boy.
the sketch is called How to Be Cool because I couldn't remember the name of it. I looked up Aunty Donna bullying and there's like 3 other skits that have bullying in the name. So it's called How to Be Cool. That's a great series, that Glenridge.
It was fun, huh?
Yeah. Anyway, Jonathan Groff, Ben Aldridge, really good as the two dads. He's
Yeah.
from Fleabag. He's like the sexy one that she's sleeping with at the start of Fleabag.
Yeah.
And then he disappears later because she's like, I'm not doing sex anymore. And he's like,
Man,
oh, boo.
Fleabag Fleabag's so good.
I thought you were going to be like, Fleabag sucks.
No, Fleabag's so good. Remember in Fleabag, I don't know if you guys feel the same. You're both straight, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't know if it's you still
reveal
feel
on
it as
podcast
straight,
exclusive.
as straight men. I'm sorry, I'm Oprahing this. I don't know if you feel it as straight men still, but there's a scene in the second season where she's like, you know, in love with this priest, and the priest, and she looks at the priest. Spoilers. And then she's like desperate to like fuck this priest, and then the priest looks at her and he says, "Kneel."
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Did that?
Yeah, no, definitely. There's that.
That.
Yeah.
That's the most. That's the horniest thing that's ever happened to me, and I was on a plane.
Yeah.
Like that is crazy.
That resonated through time. But the ripple effects of that.
That's
still
how
happening.
David Tennant got through into Fast 10. Was that a hole created by that?
Yeah. I know we're talking about this other thing, but do you
Are we though?
no,
Sorry about this
no,
chaotic-
this is it. This is the show. Do you think she's going to bring it back? 'Cause,
No.
You know, I don't think she should,
No.
but I think there's always because what's his name? Ricky Gervais did the fucking David Brent movie. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's
no, I
like it's
haven't seen
atrocious and like nobody else is in it. It's just him.
No,
And
she
it's
won't do
like-
that.
Yeah, I hope not.
She's
She's
too busy
smart.
writing a Tomb Raider.
That's true.
a
She's
new
writing a
Tomb
big
Raider.
Tomb
She's
Raider
making
now.
money.
Yeah, that's
She's busy.
yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I guess before we do spoilers, was this like an explanation of what was happening, you know? Because we haven't really talked about it, but the idea is that this family have to perform a certain act to potentially avert an apocalypse.
They're going to put on a show.
Yeah, they got to put on a big show. No, they don't. I'm just yes, Andy, but that's not true. But were you like satisfied? Because the reveal is like it's either true or it isn't. Like, you know, it's not like a twist you don't see coming because it's two options.
Yeah.
And I think there is that sense of sixth sense even of going into his movies where you're expecting like a big twist, whereas this isn't necessarily about the twist. Like,
I don't
was
know.
it?
I've not expected a big twist from Shyamalan in
Yeah.
a long time, I don't think.
I
think-
was waiting for a big twist.
Ah.
That's what I'm saying.
I was
okay.
looking for it, and I was like, when are we going to twist it?
No.
Which way are we twisting?
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess we'll do spoilers.
I thought it was the best movie ever. I thought I
movie
had a delightful time.
Yeah.
This one, yeah. The performance was really good, except for the
Beautiful
weird dialogue.
performances.
Beautiful Dave Bautista.
So beautiful.
He's beautiful.
And,
I don't like him when he grows his hair out. I like him keeping it like.
I haven't seen him with his hair growing out.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan.
He's so funny in Guardians of the Galaxy.
He is, and he's not doing it anymore. He's like, that's
I
it.
know,
That's
it's
all you get.
sad, but he's so good. You know that bit where he's like standing still and he thinks he's invisible, but he's not? That's such
Yeah.
a beautiful, and there's so many like not good, you know, big, large commercial films.
disagree.
Comedy
They're
stuff.
all good
Yeah.
here.
No, you know what I mean. Like, just like
yeah.
the jokes are never good because they're so watered down through like 1,000 different execs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful and subtle performance that got through the edit, and I just love that it made it through.
Yeah, when a weird thing gets into like
Yes.
a $200 million movie.
It's really
Yeah.
funny and really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, I think best movie ever. Michelle, you don't have to agree.
Best movie ever.
All right, let's do it. I just saw this tweet and I just thought I'd bring
We're in
this up.
spoilers now. It's spoilers time. It's spoilers, time, everyone.
So many
Ooh,
spoilers.
Let's go.
All right, first of all, the thing that I love the most about this movie is it brought back we pan across the entire world to see what's happening.
Oh,
and I love the
yeah.
part where we went to Sydney. And not only did we get to
Two
Sydney,
landmarks.
we got the Sydney Opera House and we got the Sydney Harbour Bridge, but we got an airliner that had crashed.
said
It
Australia.
said Australia
I
on
didn't
it.
see that.
It just said
Like
Australia
that's our
on it.
airline.
We've got Australia Airline.
I didn't see that.
He didn't want to spring for Qantas
Yeah.
or whatever, or even put like Ansett on it.
Yeah.
It was just like no,
Australia.
yeah. Well, you got. I mean, maybe people don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
people don't know where the Sydney Opera House is anymore. But I love to return to.
Absolutely.
There's nothing better, I think, than when it's an alien invasion movie or something like that, and it's just we pan to Sydney, and it's like
Yes.
we
It's
were
always
part of this
Sydney.
too. We
I
did it.
love
Yeah.
It is Sydney. They should go to a Melbourne laneway.
I agree.
should
A
pan across
cafe.
Some people having a coffee.
They should pan across Hardware Lane in the city and be like, yeah, we're here. We didn't actually know what was going on. So.
I love it. I always think, what would it be like if you lived in New York City? Because you'd see like your city destroyed so many
Yeah, I
times.
know, right?
You'd have an action plan, right?
Would you be bored of it? Would you like again with this? Or
I
was
think
it-
I think I would just be watching it every time and being like, well, this guy fucked up this way because
Yeah.
you can go left on blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
exactly.
when someone is asking for a toilet in the Melbourne CBD, I'm like, you've made a terrible mistake. You need to go this
Yeah.
way. Like it'd be that,
What are you doing? Yeah.
but a flood or
Somebody
a plague or
somebody
whatever.
coming out of off your tree.
We did it, folks. So, yeah, I saw this tweet from Brian Duffield who says, Shyamalan is the ultimate example that if you put another filmmaker's name on his movies, most of the film Twitter would act like it was a masterpiece. And if you put his name on another movie, they act like that they loved, they'd call it a piece of shit. Do you think there's truth to that? To like, you put his name on something, people are like, this guy sucks now.
I think people bully him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people are bullies and they need to chill out and he has great hair.
I agree with both of those things, yeah.
Thank you.
Anyways, a spoiler, it was real. It was a big apocalypse that was happening.
Was it? Was it though?
Oh, do you think it was all in the mind?
We should check.
Or it was a coincidence?
It could be a coincidence.
Fair. I mean, the
Because
planes...
the only thing we have is that one plane that fell out of the sky. That's the only
The only one we
thing
actually
that we
see,
saw,
like
and
in
a
real
storm.
life.
Oh, because the rest
All
of
the
them
others
were
on the TV.
I mean, that would be a big coincidence that a plane fell out of the sky.
But there are
near
big
you.
coincidences.
That is true.
And people of faith make, we love telling stories. People love telling stories. We grab on to any evidence we can and we make something big of it, but sometimes it is just chaos.
Yeah.
I loved that. I loved that it was just that one little glimmer. And then obviously there's a storm. I don't know if it was saying, yes, it definitely happened. I mean, it definitely lent towards that more than anything else.
I guess also the implication is that like those who were left, which is one of the dads who's not Jonathan Groff and the little girl, they have to believe that it was real because otherwise they shot a guy for no reason.
And that's how we find faith.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't believe I had to shoot a guy
For no reason.
Your dad. I had to shoot your dad.
And like, that flash forward where they see like, it was like, she's doing a job she loves and
Yeah.
you're laughing. And I was like, has she been to therapy? Because I feel like she's really had a hard start to
What did
life
he tell
now.
her? Was he like, I shot other dad?
I think, she knew because she was like, did daddy, whatever his name was, save all the children or something like that?
Yeah.
Save everyone.
That's true.
And he just cries. I think it's like, I don't know. It was to me, I was like, I'm sorry, is this a Christian propaganda film in terms of like this gay man of faith sacrifices his life with the man he loves for the sake of humanity so that God doesn't send more plagues and stuff. Like I was like,
and planes.
hang on a second, I don't know about this. Like,
Yeah.
I just felt a little like, oh.
Well, you know what's
Also, did the right dad die?
well, that's
the
a great
correct dad
question.
Did the right dad
Die.
die?
Yeah, Jonathan Groff.
'Cause we
is
know
an
one of them
amazing
had to
talent.
die.
Yeah, I mean, he's in Frozen and Frozen 2 and
The Matrix.
Yeah, he's in the new Matrix. Here's something interesting which might answer some questions or no questions. This
Is
being
it the Wikipedia article? for
yeah, it
this
is. Here we
movie?
go. Everyone, get ready. So in the book, what happens is that there's a scuffle and the daughter is accidentally shot and killed.
Yes.
And as a result of that death apparently isn't good enough to appease the God, spirits, the universe, whatever's controlling
Which is
all this.
so fucked.
I know.
That is fucked.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
pretty cool.
It's cool.
But I'm just sanding. Yes,
Yeah.
it is cool,
It's
basically.
cool.
But then then they get to make a decision that one of them then has to sacrifice the other. And then they decide not to do it because they're like, what a terrible universe and God. So that we're going to let everything burn down. And that's the ending of the book,
And does
Yeah.
everything burn down?
I guess. Or they just go.
I think it's left like ambiguous.
ambiguous.
No,
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't know. Like, does that answer more questions? Like, I guess not. But
I mean, I think it asks more questions. I think it asks a more interesting question about
yeah.
faith in general. But, the idea of like, if this is what, the gods or God wants, then what kind of God is this?
Yeah.
I always like that as an interesting question.
I love the specifics of like the scenario that this God may be set up. It's like, what version of God is this? Why are you like this? Why did you make them build really specific weapons and hit each other in the head? Why?
Yeah, really
right?
specific.
Like,
Yeah.
why?
And that guy being the guy that attacked them in the bar.
Yeah.
That was great. That was
Which
like...
adds to like it not being true.
Yeah,
also,
I couldn't
and-
believe that they both believed it by the end. I
Yeah.
was like, Come, guys, you can't check your phones. This could so clearly be just a closed circuit TV.
Yeah.
Like,
And a wind machine.
yeah, like there's no real reason. There could have been a storm coming and they could have terrorist ties. They could have fucking downed that plane. Like, if I was them, I would have been like, nah.
You're Mark Wahlberg.
Absolutely
Like
not.
a
Yeah.
9/11.
If you were them, do you think you would have looked directly at the camera and explained all four of them were the four horsemen of the apocalypse? Do you think you would have just been like,
Yeah, I would
I
have
feel
done
that felt like a reshoot.
Weird
that,
twist
that,
as well,
That
like-
felt like some people watch this movie and were like, I'm not sure of the themes of this movie. And I went, okay, how about we get Jonathan Groff to look in the camera and be like, actually, they all represent different people.
Yeah, and like, what was it? Like malice
and guidance and
Making
healing
food.
and being a big unit.
yeah,
You know,
big boy,
just being a big boy.
big
A
boy.
big, soft, kind boy. Yeah, that did feel weird. That like that's not the Four Horsemen. I'm like, isn't one like
Pestilence.
one's like
Yeah.
angry or something? I don't know. Can't remember.
Yeah.
You're thinking of the emotions in Inside Out.
I might be thinking of that. Yeah.
One's mad and one's anxious.
Yeah.
You're thinking of the characters inside Herman's head.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I am.
The
I am
sitcom
thinking-
Herman's head from the early 90s.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it was a lot to take
Yeah.
in, but I don't think. What would you do? Would you believe it under those circumstances?
I don't think so. I mean, I grew up like Catholic. It's not something that I follow anymore. I don't know if there's a God. Like, I'm not against the idea of it.
And I know, but I refuse to tell.
Yeah, and this
Except on Patreon. We're saving that for a Patreon exclusive. I'm going to reveal whether God is real or not.
but
It's only $9 a month, folks.
I don't know, but I also love the idea of like, why should I do this? Like, even if this is true, why the fuck should I do this?
Like the Gethsemane song in Jesus Christ Superstar, the greatest musical
Perfect.
ever made to be a rock and roll album.
You're
in the
absolutely right.
1990s.
You've seen the compilation, I assume, of all of them screaming why?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
What do you think I'm doing with my
That's
time?
a silly question. I apologize. Yeah, I think like a lot of his films, it feels more like it's like more vibes based than like going in and picking the specifics of it apart, which you can and is fun to be
Yeah.
like weird weapon and whatever. Like I love doing that, but also you just kind of like you said, it's kind of about faith and feeling and truth and existence, and that's kind of how you got to approach this. I feel.
Yeah. And then the question as well is like, so wait, every time we've heard of like a murder suicide, or well, not a murder suicide, but it would be like a person kills their kid and
Yeah, like a ritual murder situation.
yeah, is it like they save the world? Because if the world just keeps going on as normal, then it's like
Yeah, see, I
great.
felt
Well,
that was quite a compelling through line of the movie where I'm like, well, of course, obviously, if you kill your kid or you kill your husband or whatever, of course the world will just keep moving. So it's not going to prove anything. And I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
there's no it's about faith. It's a movie about faith.
Also,
and
maybe
Australia Airlines.
Airlines. Man, maybe that plane was a weather balloon also, or an illusion, or a hologram.
So
We
true.
don't know.
Maybe the
true.
maybe the
true.
plane just was there and it just happened to be in the water.
It could have been swimming. It could have been swimming. It's Australia. Everyone swims.
Yeah, it's true. Anyways, we're going to move on to the next segment, which is called "What We Reading, What We Gonna Read." Michelle, we're very happy to have you stick around if you want. It's only a short
not
segment.
leaving.
But you can, okay, we're actually going to ask you to leave, but I guess we can't now. But
Fuck.
but anyway, I'll explain the segment after the theme song, and then it's. I mean, you'll get
it's
it.
fairly so. I think she's got
She's
it
probably
already.
figured it out already.
I'm all right.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, theme song. I'm doing the theme. What are we reading today? So basically, this is a segment which you probably figured out. We talk about what we've been reading or doing or watching or seeing or what we plan to.
Oh, doing, that's a new one.
Yeah, it's whatever, Mason.
Okay.
Maybe you're doing a fun activity. Maybe you're going to Science Works, Mason.
That's still
Ooh.
open?
I don't know.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay, great.
I love science.
Yeah, it's cool, right? Do you play the trombone still?
Yeah.
Cool. I used to play
I played it.
trombone.
Really?
So did Mason, I think.
What?
for a
Yeah,
time.
we all played
We
the
all
trombone.
did.
Okay, also, Gillian Cosgriff, Virginia Gay.
Huh.
Yeah.
We could form a
There's a lot of
supergroup.
powerful people who play trombone.
Sure.
Yeah, we could- I'm trying to think if I don't have it. I sold it for money.
I have a trombone. Yamaha gave me a trombone.
Did
Thank
they?
you, Yamaha. Yes, for my last show, Reform, which is also touring to Brisbane Comedy Festival this year
you
and
lose
Edinburgh
your
Fringe
trombone?
Festival
How do
this
you
year.
remember all? I mean, they're burnt into you, I assume. Like,
Well, I wrote them, so
You got
they're easy to
3
remember.
shows,
I also
like-
went to VC. I'm an actor.
That's
Like
a
I
good
just,
point.
I'm good at remembering lines.
I
That's
guess
the
it is.
only
James,
thing I can
James,
your
remember.
job.
We've
Yeah.
never had anyone in this room with talent before, and that's why we're shocked
Yeah.
by it. Well, how do you remember
How do you
stuff?
remember all the things that you say and do?
How do
It's truly so funny.
How do
that
you
people-
do a show without a laptop directly in front of you and you just read off the laptop? Isn't that's weird.
Oh dear.
Wow. The next evolution of humankind is what's happening over here.
Oh,
Did you
absolutely.
recently lose a trombone?
It wasn't recently, but I had a piece published in The Guardian about losing a trombone. But no, that trombone I lost when I was like 14, and I never found it. I just lost
Damn.
it in my house.
You just lost in your
Yeah,
house.
it's just gone, and I didn't have a big house. I don't know what happened to the trombone.
That's weird.
There's somebody in the walls of the house just every once in a while.
yeah. Like my dog ate it. I don't know.
Yeah,
like
maybe.
where is
God
the
damn.
trombone? It's a full trombone.
Did you have a trombone-related question?
No, I just wanted to know because you mentioned it in the show, and I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, I love trombone.
Because I just didn't know whether because you mentioned that you did play it, and I just wanted to know whether you still did.
Well, I wasn't, practicing, and then I wanted to put trombone into my show Reform, which is about a man who scammed me online. It's a true story again, about a man who scammed me online, and instead of going to the police, I became his friend, and then eventually his emergency contact. And I wanted to play trombone in that for obvious reasons. You've heard the story now. You've heard the setup. Of course, you put trombone in that show.
Yeah.
So I went to Yamaha. I said, "Can you give me a trombone?" They said, "Yes."
So all you need to do is write a really successful comedy show, and they will give you an instrument.
You just need a blue tick. Do you guys have blue ticks?
No,
You can
different
get
now.
what
We've got brown ticks. I don't know what's going on there. They're like, never give anything free to these guys. Now, next time you could be like, hey, Yamaha, I'm doing a show about motorcycles.
Yeah, I should do that.
Free motorcycle?
Yeah, I
You
should
wouldn't-
is that?
Is that the same company?
Yes, they're the
is
same.
that true?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. That's crazy. Anyway, what have we been watching or doing or reading or whatever?
I watched the TV series Poker Face. Have you guys seen that?
Oh, they're with
Natasha Lyonne.
Yeah. And mate, Ryan Johnson wrote
Ryan
it.
Johnson
Some of
created it.
it.
Yeah, it's great. Terrific.
I have not seen it yet.
It is a... Do you know the premise?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's for people who haven't seen it. It's
I have plussed my list.
Oh, yeah, that's very good. So it's Natasha Lyonne plays a woman named Charlie who can tell when it's somebody is lying, and it gets into all sorts of trouble. And it's a sort of she's on the road, and Angela Lansbury style, people keep getting murdered around her, and she keeps having to solve the murders.
Sounds to me like the show Lie to Me with Tim Roth, where
It's
he
exactly that,
also
yeah.
knew that people were lying.
I mean, it's very like where its influence is on its sleeve. Like it's very like the title cards are like the Columbo font. Like it's exactly
That's fun.
It's 100% like the same thing, and it's like Columbo. It's not the who done it. It's the how catch 'em, because you see the murder take place and you know who's done it already.
Oh,
So
great.
it's like
okay.
it's like Columbo, and she's chipping away at him, and like
That's fun.
She's always getting an inkling, you know. She's
I
getting
love
an inkling,
her.
but she is so charming. She's an absolute delight, and it's all like all-star guests because everybody likes Ryan Johnson. So they're like, okay, we'll get Adrian Brody back. We'll get Ron Perlman, and we'll get etc. You know, all the
That's
people you
really
like.
good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What about you? Anything of note or nothing? You can say nothing.
I mean, there's so many things. I'm going to say, okay, so I've been reading a book called...
All right.
we don't actually do that. So, yeah.
I've been reading a book called Bliss Montage by
Okay.
Ling Ma, and it is so fucking good and funny. There's this bit in it's sort of a series of short stories kind of thing, and in the opening, she's like reading this, you read this story, and she refers to her husband only as husband, and the first time he speaks, she said it's like husband says, and she just has like dollar signs in quotation marks. That's all he says because he like works in money.
yeah.
It's so good, and like it's interesting and it's funny, and I love it so much. And then I'm watching so many good things. What else am I watching? You go, and then I'll say more
Yeah,
things.
you go.
Okay,
James.
I'll say a thing. This is actually a thing that I started to watch and then I stopped because I have children and dogs. Inexplicably.
That's crazy.
Kunk on Earth.
Oh my god, I love her.
Yeah,
Diane.
incredible.
What is her name?
Her name is Diane Morgan.
Diane Morgan.
So she pops up in like a bunch of Charlie Brooker stuff over the
Yeah,
years. and I
Death
think
She's
the
one of my
Dexter
absolute
series, yeah.
idols.
so fucking funny, and it's like a mockumentary, also documentary about the Earth and science and whatever. And it's just nonsense, but also there's a lot of truth in it.
We have an arrival.
It's so funny. Who is this? What's going on? A child or a dog?
I think it's a child. Oh, and dog. Hello, Ollie.
Stop telling it, everybody. It's yeah.
Hi. Will Ollie sit on my lap?
She's not a huge fan of being picked up.
She doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Okay, girl. That's okay. You sit on there. Ollie, come back.
If you sit on the couch later, she will jump on
Yeah,
you.
She'll jump
absolutely.
on, but
Yeah.
she doesn't want to be picked up. Of course not. She's an old girl. She deserves respect. Love Ollie.
Anyway, Kunk on Earth. So yeah, it's on Netflix. Because I missed the yearly wipes that he did.
Yeah. They used to, I wrote a note to myself that was like, remember to watch Death to 2020. And it's still on my list, but like 3 more years have passed. And I'm like, time just passes you by, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
But I'll watch Kunk on Earth. That sounds good.
It's so good. I was watching it before I came here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
You were on, because I've got this on my list, but then I realized that you're actually on the latest episode. There's been 5 years of Confessions. It used to be Confessions of the Idiots, the podcast, but now it's just Confessions.
Confessions,
with Sam
yes.
Peterson. And he did
Yes.
message me. He's like, hey, do you want to come on the show again? And I haven't messaged him back. So, Sam, I apologize.
Oh, my God.
I know. I
Sammy
keep doing
Pete,
that to
the
him.
nicest boy.
I know. He's the best.
He's got a dog called Diggs, Missy Diggins.
Incredible.
Fantastic dog.
Guest of the show. Also, with the real Missy Higgins.
Yeah.
Amazing get. Anyway, you were on the latest episode also. That wasn't intentional, but you were. I just found out before you were on the most recent one. Yeah,
I was. Yeah.
Wow.
Came out like today or yesterday.
do.
Oh, it's a fun romp. It's me and Ruben K, which is a chaotic combination. We're very good friends, Ruben and I, and we will come out with the same punchline immediately. Quite.
That sounds exhausting, honestly.
I think we are exhausting, honestly. I think we are quite exhausting. Sam did really well to stay above water and not tell us to shut up.
Did he get to some confessions at least?
I'm not sure. I wasn't listening.
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who can say?
Anyone else got a thing that's been whatevers?
I've been watching the promos for a show called We Interrupt This Broadcast. That looks really good. It's on Channel 7 and it's got Ben Russell and Michelle Brasier and a bunch of really
this is when you're talking.
Greg Larson.
God damn, yeah.
Looks really cool. I don't know. Promos look cool. I
There
don't
was
know.
also a book by the same name published in 1998. That's not the same,
Shut up. No, it's
is
not
it?
that. It's a sketch show.
Sorry.
Shut up.
Sorry.
Jesus.
So the sketch is back, hopefully?
Sketch is back, baby, unless we fucked it up. Who knows?
Yeah,
They finally took a chance on us, and did
Oh
we
my God.
ruin it or not? There are a lot of moving parts.
How many episodes?
So many. I actually don't know. Like so many episodes, and they go for a long time, and all the sketches are really quick, like 2 minutes max.
Did you also write on it? Did you
Yes.
do some writing? And
Yeah.
Alistair Trombley-Birchall and Andy
And
Matthews, I think,
Andy.
have written on
yeah.
it as well. So.
Yeah. Ben Jenkins, like that whole crew.
So they're
Greg
giving
Larson,
like
Ben Russell.
I was gonna say newer comedians, though you guys are obviously been doing it for a while. But
We're
it's
not
not
new-
the same
yeah, it's-
They're
faces.
giving some comedians a chance as opposed
some
to
other comedians.
Literally, it's just not the people who are now in their 60s, which is a change for Australia.
My God, what a delight!
It is a delight, but it's also like we shouldn't be now getting this show. We should be like executive
Heralding
producing
in.
shows for like 22-year-olds.
Yeah.
Like it's just like there's this real generation gap and they're like, oh, it's so good that it's a young cast. I'm like, we're all 30. Like it's not that young. But yeah, I mean, I'm very happy to have the job. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's lovely. And I think all the young people should quit. So.
I was speaking to Andy and Al about this of like, would it be better now with them writing sketches? Because obviously they work with McAuliffe and, they've got their own podcasts and all these things and they're obviously very successful in their own shows. Would it be better to do that now with the internet or like, do you think it would have been better in the 90s? And they were like, probably better then because like it would have...
The 90s, you could just have like 4 seasons
Yeah.
to figure it out.
And they'd pay you like a consistent wage and all of
Yeah.
those things and maybe wouldn't like fire you immediately or whatever.
Yeah.
Or cancel stuff
and they
straight
could be
away.
racist, which is what Andy and Al want. They just
Yeah.
When
Classic Andy.
does
Al.
this come out though?
March,
Awesome. So that's soon.
I think.
And you're in Koala Man.
I'm in Koala Man.
Yeah.
Toot toot. Toot toot.
Fucking hell, Michelle. I don't know.
I'm busy.
yeah.
I'm a busy girl. It's crazy that I found the time to come out here in between all my trombone practicing and Dave Bautista daughtering.
That's true. And you saw a movie for us and we appreciate that.
It was so nice because I actually wouldn't have gone to see it if
Yeah.
I would have waited for it to come out. I love a cinema experience.
Yeah, it's good, right?
I went back to the Lido Cinema, which is the centre of the mystery.
I also went to the Lido Cinema today.
Did you? I went today.
Yeah.
What time?
I didn't go
120.
today.
I went to the 120
We're
at
in the
Lido
same-
Cinema.
there you go.
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
I was
Wow.
there too.
You
No,
were. You're a
you weren't,
liar.
and you need
You're
to
a
shut
liar.
up.
You're a
Come
liar.
on. Grow up, Pa.
I'm sorry.
So there was.
hell?
I don't know. It might. So there was a trailer for the movie Cocaine Bear.
oh, yeah.
Yes, it was a fun trailer.
And
a
the
trailer I haven't seen
trailer
before. It was
and
really
we
fun.
said, and the somewhat true story of a bear that ate a bunch of cocaine and went on a rampage. And then the trailer ended, and the woman directly behind me went, "Cocaine Bear." Like that. Like,
Was that
and I
you?
kind of expect.
It wasn't me.
It felt like she had somehow had a realization about cocaine, and I thought she was going to leave, but she didn't.
Well, the trailer was over,
Yeah,
so, you know,
yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
fear of that coming back.
I just want to be clear. There was about 6 people in that cinema.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
There was nobody there. And
Yeah.
you were there, and
there.
I was there, and my partner Tim was there, and that was half of the cinema.
That's after cinema.
Did
yeah.
you go by yourself or with
Yes.
people?
No, just by myself.
Okay, so there were 2 other people.
Which one of you left immediately?
I left immediately.
Then that's why that's
I
why,
googled
yeah.
knock
do I
at the
leave?
cabin.
How do I leave
How do I
immediately?
get out of the cinema? How do I leave the cinema?
Where's the door?
Where's the door?
Yeah.
I googled, is there a post-credit sequence? And obviously there wasn't, so I just left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tim did that. My partner. He goes on the internet, so I don't have to.
Nice, cool.
What a legend.
Yeah. I have a boyfriend. Don't be jealous.
No, it's cool. He's in your shows.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. Good on him.
Good on him, I agree. Anyways, again, thank you so much for making the trip out and seeing this movie and coming here and being delightful and talking about all this and sharing all the things that you've been doing. It's super exciting and cool.
Thank you. That's very lovely of you.
Again, michellebrasier.com/tour if you're doing any of that. But again, everything else that you're doing,
I'll be screaming
It's a good
about
show,
it.
Koala
We
Man.
got the Aunty Donna show
Follow
coming
on
out at
Twitter.
some point.
Oh, yeah. Twitter,
there's a lot going
Instagram,
on.
all of those particular things. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Bye.
Oh, thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See you at the movies.
Let's see you at the movies.
No, you probably won't.
No, I probably
You'll
won't, no.
leave it
What
to
Well, yeah,
us.
no. Well, I'll sit behind you at the movies and
Yeah,
not
go,
recognize
cocaine
you.
bear.
And
Yeah.
Cocaine bear.
I've got to go.
Thanks. Wow, Mason. Is it the letters segment?
Yes, you're right to say wow on account of the letters.
Yeah.
And if you're not impressed by these letters, it's not my fault. It's the people who wrote the letters.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I think you're going to be wowed by these letters. I think that's going to be warranted.
Well, let's find out.
Anyway, here's the letters theme. The classic one was
Letters, oh letters, we love you. Some letters, they're only a day away.
we're going to hear right now. We're going to do letters.
Man, if you want to reach the show and send us a great letter,
Man, oh man.
yeah, that's going to impress me specifically,
Boy, howdy.
you can go to Twitter and hashtag weeklyplanetpod.
Oh,
and if
yeah.
it's still working, I might see it. Or you can weeklyplanetpod@gmail.com to send a Gmail.
That's exactly right.
Just like somebody has you've got right there.
Oh, this is from Bruce.
Hello, Bruce.
Bruce says, thank you for my PhD. And I say welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I don't just say welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome to the letters segment. So I didn't misspeak. That is correct what I said. And also, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Hello there, boys.
Hello.
Just writing to say thank you for keeping up to date with all the comic book news, which is no longer shooting up my butthole because I recently got accepted into a PhD program where I get to write my thesis about comic book film.
A thesis?
You both have been extremely helpful in keeping my passion going and as an insight into popular opinion surrounding these films. That's right. We're the popular
Popular
Jen.
opinion.
That's right. The layman.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
dunce.
Dunce. Two
The
dunces.
standard impression of something.
I would say even more of a dunce than
Oh,
the
yeah.
standard dunce.
Okay.
So much to the point where, with your permission, of course, I'd like to quote you in my thesis. Don't worry, it'll be the intelligent things you say, not bits like when you debate whether Wolverine has a metal dick.
We don't think he does.
Yeah.
How would that work?
I don't know.
It just wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would, like, I'm always with a bit of metal in it.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
No, I don't like it.
Yeah. Be
Yeah.
clanging around when he's jogging.
Clanging around,
Clanging
Mason.
around, you
against
know?
his metal balls.
Yeah, exactly.
It sound
Which
like
are, his balls are metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd sound like a wind chime.
That's right. Yeah. Also, can I be the resident doctor of the pod?
Absolutely.
Unless that has already been given to a deserving medical professional.
No.
In which case, I'll take the resident, not real doctor, but still a doctor of the pod. Thank
Still
you
a
both again
doctor.
from Bruce.
You are a Dr. Bruce.
Yeah, Dr. Bruce. Not yet.
No. That's great. Good
Not
for
yet,
you,
but
man.
soon,
And
one
yeah, if
day.
you want to cite us, but make sure the person doesn't then listen to us because that will.
They'll ruin the illusion.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Very cool, though.
Maybe when you cite us, misspell the name of the podcast. So when
Yeah.
they search for it, it doesn't come up, and they're like, "Oh, it must be a podcast that doesn't exist anymore that got cancelled for too much rudeness."
Exactly.
Yes.
I've got a tweet here from Chaz. Now, we mentioned that we're always watching a Mr. Beast video.
Oh yeah.
We like his tightly edited stories. We like the way he gives somebody a car or
Remember
something.
we saw that one a while back, and it was just like 4 things in rapid sequence. It was just like we don't have enough time to cover all. It was just like we're going to crush a car, and then we're going to
I
shoot
do
a
remember
meteor
that.
through a roof of a house, and then we're going to do this, and it was just bam, 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 bam.
Yep.
Wild.
30-second video.
Yeah.
It's from Chaz who says, #WeeklyPlanetPod. As a number one Mr. Beast fans,
that's
what are your
us.
thoughts on his blindness video?
Oh,
now,
yeah.
we watched this. So if you haven't seen it, which you have because it's the biggest video in the world
Yeah.
at the moment, it's Mr. Beast. It's a thumbnail where he's got his hand on the shoulder of a, I guess, blind boy who's recently being able to see.
Well, a stock photo of a boy.
Stock photo, I should say. Yeah, he's not in the
in a
video.
medical situation. Yeah.
And the video basically is about how he's using his wealth and influence to give 1,000 people a very basic cataract surgery, which normally costs around $5,000, but it's like 15-minute surgery, and
Yeah,
it
right.
instantly works if it takes, and then you can just live your life as normal. But of course, obviously, the medical system being what it is in certain parts of the world, who's to say what? That the controversy, I guess, is this like charity porn? Like, is
Yeah,
this,
right.
You know, and look, I don't think it is for reasons that I'll get into. But I think the most fucked up thing about this video, I mean,
Is
the
that it has
thumbnail
to
is
exist
weird.
at all?
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, I get the criticisms of like, well, why doesn't he use his wealth to do whatever? Why doesn't everybody use their wealth for everything? I think that can be applied to literally anybody. And he doesn't have to do this. And I think he's able to do things like this because you can crush a car.
How many farts can you put in this jar?
Yeah.
Most farts gets $10,000. He could do that.
He could do it. And he
measure
will.
it with a fartometer.
Yeah, and like,
Well, I spent $10 million developing a genuine medical instrument called the fartometer.
I took research away from a real thing to do this.
But you're right. So on the one hand, if you're one of those 1,000 people,
yeah.
you can see now.
Yeah.
And that's pretty great.
And I understand, like, people might be like, is it exploitative? Well, I guess in a sense it is, but, people would agree to do it, but it's also, they would obviously agree to do it because they can't see. So if I couldn't see and I couldn't pay for it and someone was like, I'll do it for free, but you have to be in a YouTube video, I'd be like, yes, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll cry.
But
on a
also
fucking
that's because
video.
you're blind.
And yeah, that's right. I mean, I think the idea of it that it exists, that's fucked up.
That's the dystopian part of it.
Yeah.
Yes. That the fact that you can't just go to a doctor and say, I can't see, and they're like, we'll do this procedure and see you later, bye.
And he's also talked about how, I think in like tweets or like, that actually like even as like a pro-capitalist like standpoint, the fact that if you're getting people back into the workplace, then they can pay taxes, they can, all of these things, they can start a business or be part of a business or whatever, which then adds to, the overall wealth of an individual and also the government, et cetera, and a corporation. So from that perspective, it even makes sense. It's fucked up though.
Yeah, sure is.
And I think that like what this does is highlights that it's fucked up.
Yes, it really does, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I know people have also said, why doesn't he go further to say this is specifically why we're doing it. Why does this exist or whatever? And it's not like explicitly said in the video as much. He's more said it on Twitter since. Yeah, I guess you could say that totally. Just be like, isn't our healthcare system fucked? And isn't it fucked that I have to do this? Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, do you have any other thoughts on that?
Mr. Beast, no. Yes, though. In this case, just squeezed in under the line.
Yeah. And also, like I said about like Logan Paul or any influencers, even if they are a genuine psychopath, and maybe he is, I don't know him at all. It doesn't matter if they're doing good things. It's fine. It's your actions that define you, not if like Batman, not if you're a complete psycho.
Whoa.
Which again, I don't know.
It's a great point. Yeah. No, look, I don't have. It is a complicated issue, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's just fucked up that
Yeah.
it exists, that it has to exist. Yeah.
I agree.
Anyway, what else you got?
Here's an email from Tim.
Yep.
I almost died in a fire while listening to the podcast, Pick Included.
Well, that's your fault.
Right?
Yeah, Mason.
Oh, yeah, no, it is, yeah. Hey, James and Mason, I'm a big fan of this podcast and have been listening for years.
That's
You all
our
got me
podcast.
through a lot of tough times, and I'm thankful to know that you both will help me through this hard time as well. Wow. Give me money. No, it doesn't say that. A few days ago, I was doing some work in my apartment while listening to the pod, and I started to smell smoke. It turns out an electrical fire started in the apartment next door to me and eventually spread to my place and destroyed almost everything I own, as well as most of the building. Thankfully, no one was hurt, and I have renter's insurance, so I'll be able to get back on my feet.
Holy
It's
crap.
been a rough few days, and I'm glad that I can always count on you guys to make me laugh. Anyway, here's a building on fire.
Jeepers creepers. That's a stock photo. They've got
wait
the
a-
watermark on it.
That's right.
He's just asking for money. No, that's terrible. I'm glad you're okay, though. I mean, obviously, the most important thing in this scenario is that you're not dead in a fire.
That's true.
So that's really good.
Yeah.
My goodness. Terrifying.
Wait a second. This says Mr. Beast set 1,000 homes on fire so he could, and he paid for your renter's insurance. He's going to buy you a whole new wardrobe of Mr. Beast merchandise.
Nice.
He's going to get a Mr. Beast sweatshirt.
I love that.
Yeah,
and
me
I
too.
love this, Mason. Well, I'm glad he's doing okay. And did we contribute to that in any way? Was that our fault?
I think if he'd been listening to any other podcast, he would have been so engrossed in the podcast that perhaps he would have been hurt in the fire. But because our podcast is such a surface level,
You can just listen to it whatever.
You listen to it whatever.
Or not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're welcome.
Yeah. You can just put your headphones in, put our podcast on pause, and do the dishes.
That's right. Also, just empty if.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And you just
Silence and
and
doing
that's
the
why
dishes.
he would have realized that the fire was happening.
That's beautiful.
Oh, great.
That's beautiful.
It's from Wesley on Twitter. Not the Wesonator is the Twitter handle.
Oh, not Wesley Crusher?
No, Wesley Walker.
Okay.
It says hashtag Weekly Planet Pod. Would you ever consider being in Creator Clash? It's the YouTube boxing event for charity that Joe Rogan thought was the father-son match. Yeah, I did see that. You could challenge Mr. Beast's friend, the one that you want to kick in the head. Well, I couldn't kick him in the head if it was a boxing match.
You can only kick him if it's a kickboxing match.
Yes. Now, a lot of people don't
Or
know.
just a kicking match. No, everybody does boxing, everybody does kickboxing. Nobody just does just kicking.
straight kicking.
Just kicking.
They're right, soccer, but it's kicking. It's like our soccer's just hands.
Yeah.
It's just headbutts and kicks.
Nice.
But it's a fight.
Yes.
First of all, I'm not famous enough to be on this, obviously. Also,
And I am, but I refuse.
Yes.
On principle.
I'm old. A lot of people
yeah.
don't know that about me because I'm so youthful.
Yeah.
But like I'm relatively fit, but I've never boxed properly, and I would get killed by somebody in this. Either somebody who's my age who's better because they've been training for longer, or a young person would just fucking stomp me.
Sure.
But no, I would be interested, I guess, if it ever got floated to me, I guess I'd consider it.
Well, it'd be a chance to get fit, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's right.
You know,
Yeah,
and I think of a lot of people in reality shows where they have to be on in the SAS or whatever it is.
Yeah.
A lot of it is like, well,
can I do this?
Can I still do this? Can I train up? Can I get super fit? And then people take those lessons with them throughout the
yeah. But I'll beat up, I don't know.
Anyone. You'll beat up anyone. I've seen you do it.
Yeah.
You'll beat up anyone who comes to your door, really.
Yep.
I've seen you do it.
I'm trying to think of a professional YouTuber. I couldn't think of one. But I'd beat them up or try at the very least. I think the difference between this and like a lot of the other YouTube boxing stuff is like this isn't a scam, it seems.
Right.
A lot of the other ones are just
For now.
They don't pay people and they turn up and they get hurt and then nobody gets paid or whatever,
Yeah,
which
right,
has
right.
happened like multiple times with this shit.
I guess that is also a thing. You could get a significant injury. You could pull a hammy.
Well, exactly. Like being hit in
Or
the
get your skull bashed in.
Yeah, exactly.
And a bit of skull goes from the front of your head to out the back of your head, and it takes your brain with it.
Exactly.
And your brain dribbles out.
Being hit in the head is no fucking joke, man.
No fun at all.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. Probably not. I guess in answer to that.
Terrific.
For multiple reasons, including I'm not famous enough. Mason, do you have another whatever?
Yes.
Great.
And also, I wouldn't do it because one, not famous enough, and two, I'd have to give up like burgers and stuff.
Oh, you didn't have to give up burgers. You could bulk for it.
Oh, I could be just a really big boy.
Really big boy, Mason.
Big boy with a big center of gravity.
Yeah.
Could knock me down. I just wait them out. They'd exhaust themselves.
That's
And I'd be like,
Simpsons episode.
I'm a big boy. I'm full of burgers. You can't stop me.
You can hit me and it'll hurt and I'll cry, but I won't fall down.
That's right. You'll fall down. I'm a big boy. This is from Joshua.
Go on.
Good day, gentlemen. And you'll know why he said good day, gentlemen, in a moment.
Because he's British?
I'm a concert band conductor and a music teacher in Ontario, Canada.
Oh, he's not
And I was
British.
wondering your take on film scores. So that's why, because he's posh.
Oh, he's a posh man.
With the word out from Spielberg that he is planning a John Williams documentary, do you
Yeah.
think there is a future for a potential biopic?
Definitely.
What are some of the substantial film score composers, or which movies' scores stand out for you?
Oh, damn, this is hard. This is
It is hard because
name a song question.
This is a huge blind spot.
Yeah.
The Batman score,
I
like
really like
I
that
feel
new
like
one, yeah.
since I've really stepped into like thinking about it.
Yeah.
My feeling has always been scores a lot of the time don't stand out to me unless they're really bad.
Yeah, okay,
or
yeah.
weirdly discordant. But since I've been starting to think about it, I think Michael Giacchino's
Very good, yeah.
very good. Just very, very good. And like that, there's that constant theme throughout,
Something in the way, etc.
Yeah, it feels very, 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 good.
Atmospheric.
Very atmospheric and very like a good through line to it, all of it. And it feels
Do you think it adds to the
very cohesive
tone of the movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what a score's for. Because otherwise it's just quiet.
It's just people going, and that's not a movie.
It's Batman. They've redubbed it.
Is that Batman?
Yeah.
No, that is, yeah.
That is actually
He's
Batman,
here.
yeah. They're also whenever they release a trade paperback for comic book, there's a little note at the start of each one that says, just remember, if you can, you have to pronounce it like it's a surname.
Yeah, exactly.
Never defeat me, Aquaman. All right.
I'll try, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to try.
Also, everyone's really tired.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a big swim to get here. But
big old swim.
Look, I'm honest, I'm not really up for it, but I'll give it my best.
But again, I've said the Tron Legacy score is
Yeah, we talked about
absolute delight.
I think a documentary for John Williams works better than a biopic because he's not like, there's not a moment where he gets addicted to drugs and then
That we know about.
Then his wife has to drag him out of it, which is every biopic.
I would love to see a Danny Elfman biopic because that guy's lived a life.
That's true.
He was in Oingo Boingo.
Yeah, well, that's also like, you're right. Maybe there's some stuff in John Williams' life that I don't know about. I don't think he just lived a
I
life.
forgot midnight, and now my bin's full.
It's always me every day.
Mrs. John Williams is going to be ropeable.
But yeah, I guess it's naive of me also.
John Williams, the bin's full.
Shut up, woman.
Wow.
Yeah, he's very in real life.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't like
I'm going
it.
to put this passion into my music.
But it's pretty naive.
Dun 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 dun.
Midnight.
Midnight.
It's naive.
You forgot midnight. You forgot midnight.
Shut up. But It's not even meant to be like, oh, I guess he lived a normal life and he just wrote amazing scores. Because maybe he didn't. Maybe some incredible stuff or personal tragedies before him that I don't know about.
Or maybe there's enough of a springboard to just spin some elaborate lies.
Yep.
And
like the Weird Al Yankovic movie.
Like
Have you watched that?
Not yet, no.
Fantastic stuff, Mason.
Yes.
No, I just got a couple here. This is from Trav and Justin. It's in relation to vetoes, Mason. Trav says, for the veto rules, Mr. Sunday Movie clearly overstepped by trying to veto all baby jokes. The veto should be for specific riff, e.g. Blade Runner babies, but also it's unsportsmanlike for Wikipedia Brown to immediately do a related riff.
A related riff?
Yeah, well, Justin says also James absolutely can veto all franchise baby jokes.
Whoa.
That gambit was way too clever to not allow.
Oh,
so I don't know.
It's clever.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I think it's out in the universe at the moment. We'll just see what happens. We'll see what happens for the next one, won't we?
We sure will.
Yeah. And also, if you don't know what that is, maybe, if you're listening to this. But at the end of the show, if you're at the end, you probably know what we're talking about.
Here's another email from Joey.
Joey?
Hey, James and Meso.
Joey Fatone?
Love the pod. With the new Green Lantern show coming up, are there any particular characters you would like to see? I think the fact we're getting Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan is awesome. I agree with that.
Yep.
And knowing James Gunn, I think it's safe to say we'd be getting the Squirrel Chip in at least a cameo appearance.
Essentially.
Honestly, I'm looking for
Big Planet.
Oh, yeah.
Ort the fucking...
His name I've forgotten.
Or is that the Marvel guy?
Well, I mean, Gunn has already done Ego as...
Yeah, well, that's... What that also makes me think he won't do the Squirrel because he did...
But he said here, I'm looking forward to perhaps getting an appearance by Atrocitus and his cat Dexter. So Atrocitus is one of the Red Lanterns.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
I mean, speaking of, and not even occurred to me, I would love to see some other coloured lanterns. I think that would be cool.
Do you think Sinestro will be the police chief?
I reckon he's already gone bad.
Okay,
by this time. Not really because it was in the other Green Lantern movie, but just
whatever.
Just
the universe is along a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited for Gnort.
Yeah.
He's the big, I don't know what he is. He's not a squirrel. He's some sort of dog man. But he's in, I've been reading Human Target, the Tom King, Greg Smallwood run, which has one issue left, I think.
Oh,
and
okay.
Gnort is in it. So
that's really good?
Yeah, it's good. It's good fun.
Gnort. Yeah, there you go.
Gnort.
It's pronounced Nort, though, apparently.
Is it?
Yeah, the G
well, I'm going to
silent.
say Gnort.
Well, I disagree.
Wow.
That's it from me. You got anything else?
No, that's everything.
Let's wrap up the show.
Okay, folks. Thank you so much for listening. We definitely 100% do appreciate it.
Too many big episodes at the moment, Mason. These are too long. Let's do a fucking 33-minute episode next week.
Great.
Ridiculous.
All right. Terrific.
Yeah. The people demand it. Shorter episodes.
The people.
Yeah. That's what they want.
Okay.
Go on, though.
You could just veto everything. You could blow all your vetoes in one burst and get a 33-minute
I'll say
episode.
podcasting.
Oh, no! James, no! Mr. James, no!
Go on, sorry.
Folks, we definitely appreciate it.
I was Mr. Sunday before he was Mr. Beast. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, Mason.
And yet Mr. Beast has caught on. Because Mr. Beast implies like action and dynamism.
Sunday's like a dumb
whatever.
day.
I guess
you have to go to work the next day.
Maybe I'll have brunch or something. Put the bins out.
Can't really,
I've forgotten.
Yeah, can't really have a big night because I got to work the next day. Yeah. Fair enough.
You could have been Mr. Can't Have a Big Night.
I should have been Mr. Having a Big Night.
Yes.
At an appropriate night.
Folks, thank you for sharing this podcast with your friends. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Thank you for leaving a 5-star review on your podcast catcher of choice. James, you got me there?
You can do it in app. This is
great.
from Justin, who says 5 stars from Aggieland. Look it up, boys. I won't. You fucking look it up.
Yeah.
Howdy. The podcast is excellent. Ton of fun to listen to. It always makes me feel like I can have 2 additional nerdy friends to talk to. God bless and keep up the good work.
How do you spell Aggieland?
Aggieland and then land. Also, can I be the official Texas Aggie of the podcast? Again, look it up. Fine, we will. Mason's doing it now. Thank you so much. And this second one here is from Twitter Hates Happy Endings ABC, who says, YouTube brought me here and I'm glad. I've been watching Mr. Sunday movies for a while now. Was stoked to see a video on the T2 ride experience because I forced my wife to go see it on our honeymoon while I had a vague memories of it being good from seeing it as a child previously. And I've always heard the plug for the podcast at the end of the episodes and thought, well, that's a podcast. It's different from the videos and has a different energy, I'm sure. Nah, you two have the same great energy and chemistry that you distill in each YouTube video, even in its long-form medium. Subscribed. Love the podcast. Edit. Wow, I already wrote a review. Well, was going to write one. Well, here I am in 2022, still thinking that this is a 5-star podcast. P.S. What's up with my username? Great question. Twitter Hates Happy Endings ABC.
Wow. Aggieland is a neighborhood in Needville, Texas.
Yeah, it says you.
And Aggie is a student at Texas A&M. Think about that.
I think about everything.
Wow, pretty good. Folks, if you want to get into contact with us, you can go to weeklyplanetpod at Gmail, at Facebook, at Twitter, at Bandcamp. You can go to the Planet Broadcasting Grade Mates Facebook group. Ooh. You can go to the Weekly Planet subreddit and Discord. You can have all sorts of fun conversations about podcasts and pop culture. It's a delightful time over there. Let's see if you want to follow some cool people on Twitter.
Do you?
Yeah, maybe you do. Well, you're out of bloody luck, but you can follow us. I'm Wikipedia bound on Twitter, and I'm Nick Maso on Instagram. James is Mr. Sunday Movies everywhere. But if you want to follow some people who know what's going on, you want to follow on Twitter Raw Collings. That's our pal Rob Collings.
Damn.
Edits this podcast, does the socials, does all sorts of stuff.
These extra long podcasts that are happening.
You can also follow him at The Weekly Planet. That's where you get all the updates. If you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/Mr. Sunday Movies, chuck in a buck or an amount you would not miss. Or big time, big spender, go to bigsandwich.co. For $9 per month, you get bonus podcasts, early videos, ad-free feed, all sorts of stuff. It's a great time. If you want to buy some T-shirts, you go to tpublic.com. Search for The Weekly Planet. Thank you to The Brute and The Basilisk and Aracham for all our musical themes.
Okay, that's interesting.
And that's the whole show. Next week, a different thing.
Different thing. Can't wait.
Same great podcast.
Same great, good fun.
Maybe everything that James Gunn and Peter Safran got announced got cancelled.
Yeah.
By next week.
And we just walk it all back.
We walk it all
back.
Step
by step.
We say we wouldn't have liked it anyway. And we're glad that it all
We're
got canceled.
glad.
We're glad.
Yeah.
Bring back the Snyderverse, we say.
That's what we say to each other.
That's right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next week.
God, that jam, you guys. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
You know what I was thinking?
What were you thinking?
People probably don't know this. But it's a little bonus for people.
Yeah.
We're talking about The Flash.
Yeah.
Soonish.
Yeah.
And that suit from the 90s, it's so good.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
It's one of the best.
It's really weird how good it is.
Yeah.
And they justify it in the show. They're like,
It's
got
a sex suit. It's a rubber sex suit because we know you like that. You're a weirdo.
Yeah, that's true. He does.
Yeah.
I couldn't get over the completion of John Wesley Shipp, how good his skin is.
Oh my God, everybody's so tanned and smooth.
What
happened after the 90s? Why do we all look like garbage now?
Did cocaine like give him a little boost and then it all fell off? I don't know. Yeah, burn bright and then I don't know. Anyway, talk about it. We're doing Shrek at the moment.
Yeah, we're doing Shrek at the moment.
We're doing Shrek fever.
Yes.
All right, bye.
Bye.